Greetings, fellow nerds and geeks. Why don't you pull yourself up a chair, grab yourself a beverage, and prepare to enjoy a geek-tastic conversation. Welcome to the Geek Easy.
Welcome back to the Geek Easy podcast. This is episode number 55 for November 21st, 2018. I am Pixel Dan Erdley, and I am once again joined by my co-host Jonathan Leonard.
Hey, how's it going, Internet?
And welcoming our new permanent third co-host to the show. He's been on episodes in the past, so you guys should already know who he is, but if not, welcome to Jaron McCaffrey.
What's up? No longer just the wrestling analyst.
That's right.
Now I'm full-time host.
That's right. So we are now a three-man team, which is going to be good for a lot of reasons. And one of those reasons is that the plan now is to be on a very consistent schedule with the podcast. So we're saying that. We're expecting you guys to hold us to this.
We're going to do it. If we don't commit to it, it doesn't happen.
That's right. That's right.
That's why there's three of us now. It's episode 55. In many ways, it's episode 1.
So let me tell you.
I consider it episode 1. I don't know what you guys did before.
We haven't done one in a long time. And this is sort of like the reboot, you know?
Episode 54 was last December.
Ooh, don't say that. Everybody hates the reboots.
Oh, yeah.
No, but this is one of the good reboots.
It's a fresh start. How about that?
Got it.
Fresh start.
Like the Abrams Star Trek before everybody just decided that wasn't good, like 4 years later.
Well, maybe. I guess we'll see how things pan out in the next 4 years and see how people feel about us. But yes, last episode we did was when we talked about The Last Jedi back in December. Mm-hmm. So we've had almost a full year to kind of sit back and talk about doing a podcast and not do a podcast.
I've recorded 2 episodes every month.
Have you?
Danny's been busy. I kept emailing them to you. I just assumed they were being posted. Well, darndest thing, I had the wrong email address.
Oh, who were you sending it to?
So Dan Dardley.
Dan Dardley.
At hotmail.com. If you're out there listening, let me know what you thought of those shows.
Hotmail.
I put a lot of work into it.
Oh, man. Hey, but on those notes right there, one of the benefits of having a three-man team is if we do run into scenarios where one of us is unavailable, the show can still go on because there'll be 2 of us here to record. So that's the plan. Yep. The show must go on because we will be releasing new episodes bi-weekly. So every other Wednesday, you guys can look forward to a brand new episode of the Geek Easy podcast. And you'll be able to find us in lots of different places. So we'll get this out of the way right up front. For anybody that's new listening, or if you forgot, you can listen to us on iTunes, on Stitcher, on Google Play, on Podbean, or on YouTube. So we are pretty much everywhere. Wherever you guys prefer to do podcasts, or if you want to watch us on video, YouTube, lots of places. So boom, there you go. We're back.
All right.
We're back. Are you ready to do this?
Like we filmed our first intro and our first commercial all at the same time. I'm excited.
That's basically what my videos are. They're commercials, right? I mean,
you got a lot of
I'm
experience.
like, toys. Buy these toys. That's what I do. So
you're an 80s kid. That's what entertainment
I was going to say,
yes.
That's what cartoons were made for back in the 80s. That's going to come back around at the end of this episode. But So, Jaron has been on the show in the past as the wrestling analyst. Basically, any of our episodes where we've discussed pro wrestling specifically, we've had you on. But you are part of this three-man group here all the time, off camera. I mean, we're all very close friends off camera. Yep. And the reason that the Geek Easy really kind of started the way it did anyway, like John and I have brought up before, that we basically have these conversations all the time. Just the 3 of us. And we decided, why not turn on microphones and record ourselves having these conversations?
We thought, it's fun to have the conversations, but we don't get yelled at by strangers enough. So maybe if we do these conversations on the internet.
I definitely my getting yelled at by strangers quota.
Yeah.
No, I will say we have a pretty tame and respectful audience thus far. I'm hoping it grows exponentially, and then we'll get a bunch of those people. But right now, we've got some great listeners.
So it was a natural fit to have Jaren involved all the time because he is into talking about all the same stuff that we enjoy, and I think it's going to really add to the show having a third person here. So, is there anything that you want to say as a welcome or an introduction of yourself to everybody?
Oh man,
putting you on the spot.
Put me on the spot. I don't know. I'm just excited to be here. I'm not. Like I don't follow things nearly as much as you guys, so I kind of feel like the common man. like I feel like like you guys always know all this stuff, and every time we talk, I'm like, oh really? That's awesome! I can't wait. So
I don't know. I feel like all of us kind of have our strong suits in different things, which is another reason I think the three of us make a good team. And honestly, I feel like that was illustrated so beautifully in our new show logo, which I got to give a shout out to the amazing Harry Partridge of Happy Harry Tunes for doing that. But John's always been real big into the movie stuff, and everybody knows that's watching this that I'm a big toy guy. You are, you love all the same stuff too, but you are definitely our pro wrestling guru in this group. So there's a lot of things that we can talk about where we can all give our own personal touches to.
Well, and we all like all of those things.
Oh, and I'm never afraid to form an opinion on something I don't know anything about.
Faux show,
real quick.
Boom. Just like the internet.
That's my role. I am the internet.
You're the internet personified. Yes. Right here on the show. We needed that. We really needed that. We were missing it. Awesome. Well, we have a lot of things to talk about today. I do want to go ahead and start with a bit of a downer for an opening topic, but it's something that I feel like we need to discuss specifically because of the show specifically discusses a lot of topics related to this particular individual. And that, of course, is the great Stan Lee, who just passed away this past week here. We've been a big... Marvel good yay kind of is like our moniker, right? Because we really enjoy the Marvel films, but I think it's safe to say that all three of us have been impacted by the Marvel comics or the Marvel universe or something in some shape or form over the years. So definitely wanted to pay respects to Stan Lee. He was 95, so he had a very long, very fulfilling life, which is awesome. I got to see Stan. I've been in the presence of Stan Lee twice in my life, which was kind of crazy. One time was the one photo op I did that I think you guys have seen the picture of. I was at C2E2 one year in Chicago, and actually I was gifted the photo op because somebody bought it for themselves but then couldn't make the show, so they wrote me and they're like, hey, I know you're there. This can't be refunded. Do you want to take this and go get a picture with Stan Lee? And I was like, well, I can't say no to getting a picture with Stan Lee.
Yeah, cancel my panel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was really cool. It was definitely one of those. I mean, he's older gentleman. He can't do a whole lot. So it's literally like he's sitting on a stool in a curtained off photo area, and they are just filing people in one by one. And they're like, okay, go stand next to him. Don't touch him. Just stand next to him, look at the camera, smile, and then move on. And that's legitimately how it went. So I got to walk up to him. He said hi to me. I said hi to him. I posed for this picture like I look like a little kid in this picture because I've got this big stupid grin on my face. And then I moved on. So it wasn't like a big crazy like I got to meet and talk to Stan Lee moment. But like I have this cool picture that like I get
that's
to have
awesome.
now.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
that's really cool. But I'll never forget the year at San Diego Comic-Con. When I was at the Mattel panel for Masters of the Universe Classics. For whatever reason, and it's still really baffling today, Mattel made a Stan Lee action figure in the Masters of the Universe Classics line, which makes zero sense because Stan Lee had nothing to do with He-Man whatsoever at any time in his life. But I think the way it came about is... Mattel might have been working with Stan on something at the time, and basically they were like, we want to make a figure of him. We don't have any way to do it. Just squeeze it in the He-Man line because it's somewhere we can put it in. Yeah. So basically they created, like, it's funny because it's a big buff He-Man character with Stan Lee's face. But he's all blue because they made him like this. They wrote this bio for him where he's some sort of like cosmic creator of something, right? So he's a cosmic creation guy. So we're at this panel and this has been revealed and everybody in the crowd is just like, what? Why? This is really dumb. Like literally that's everybody's reaction. Nobody wants this figure. And then all of a sudden, the door bursts open, and Stan Lee comes walking in the panel. And
tell me he was blue. Tell me he was blue. Tell me he was blue.
No, he wasn't blue. But Stan Lee comes walking in the panel and sits down up on the panel, and literally the whole room is suddenly like the demeanor has changed. Everybody's excited to see Stan Lee. Everybody applauds. They hand him his action figure. He turns around the package, and he reads the bio from the back of the packaging in his Stan Lee voice. And all of a sudden, it's like, I must own this toy. Like, it just changed everything. So, like, I'll never forget it, because even while he's reading it, he's just like, I don't know what any of this means, but he reads it, and it's amazing, and it was just so funny. So that's just kind of my one funny, like, Stan Lee experience. It was really cool. But one of the cool things about Stan that I even, like, put the quote up on my social media this week, but I talked about how, like, one of the things that's always kind of been inspiring to me about him, you know, you always hear the things like Stan Lee didn't even create Spider-Man until he was in his 40s. So, like, it wasn't until his 40s that he had that kind of a break, you haven't even begun to live your life yet. Like, I see that quoted all the time. And the first time I read that, I was kind of like, wow, that's pretty awesome, actually. It really kind of makes you think about that sort of thing. But he's even gone on the record saying things, and this isn't going to be an exact quote, but to paraphrase, he's talked about how, like, you know, he's always been told that, like, working in comics isn't really a real job, and it's not a real job because he just basically writes these funny pages and stuff all the time. But as far as he's concerned, doing stuff like that is bringing people joy. It's entertainment, and if you are an entertainer, that is in itself a real job and a very important job. And I mean, that's something that's kind of speaks to me. Like, I think that's awesome, you know. So, yeah. I want to just, you know, give my condolences and say that that's awesome. And Stan Lee was definitely important to me. What he did was important to me growing up. Now all that stuff. So it's very sad that we lost him, but very, very good life.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I mean, he lived a long and good life, and so it's always, you know, there's a bittersweet sort of note to it, is the fact that we had him for so long.
Yeah.
You know, and he was able to impact so much. I mean, I was 11 and overseas because my family was military, and you know, when you first move to a new place and don't know anybody, and so we used to go to the post, had basically like a little strip mall, and one end of it was the bookstore, so I'd go in there and look at books, and that's when I first, you know, actually picked up a comic book and started flipping through of it, and bought a few issues of Spider-Man comics and started discovering all these characters, you know, and it quickly became just this overwhelming sense of, like, every time we were over near there, like let me get 4 or 5 more of these, and then it became, you know, 10 or 12 more of these, and this was back when they cost, you know, 40 cents or 75 or whatever it was. So
How old are you, John?
You know, I don't know.
I don't even remember that.
Probably wasn't 40, but it was 75. I want to say something like that. It was sub $1, I'm sure.
Really?
I think so. It would have been 90. It would have been 91.
I think when I was buying them. When I was a kid, they were like $1.25.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, what you guys are a little bit younger than me.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so I think it was right around 90. It was right. Well, I know it was right around 91 because that's when I was 11. So, figure it out, internet. Do the math. That's how old I am. But just, you know, the you don't know right away. You just start reading this stuff, and again, you know, I'm a kid looking for something to do, and this has become this new infatuation for me, and so I start reading all this stuff, and then you get a little bit, I mean, a couple years older at most, and I'm still reading all this stuff, but then I start going, well, who are these names I'm seeing, and who is this? And so you start looking into the history of the things you're looking about, and then you come to find out very quickly that, oh, a solid half of the things that I love right here all came from one guy, you know, to some degree or another.
Right.
And that kind of legacy is just, it's mind-boggling to think about the impact that has had, and the ride those characters have gone on, because, again, they went from being, you know, mainstays in the comic book world, but they were kind of stuck there for decades. But they were popular just in and of that, in their own realms, you know. And now you look at the way that the movie industry has been able to catapult these characters since the early 2000s. You know, everything he created in those early Marvel days is now on T-shirts and posters and Happy Meals and movies, cartoons, TV shows,
video games.
I mean, yeah, it is just exploded into this huge thing, and you know, I mean, I'm not saying that. Obviously, he had help. it wasn't just him, but he gets credit for all these characters that have exploded into this entire world, you know, and it just all centered on that one man, and it's just it blows your mind to think that anyone can have that much influence, but there he was.
Right. And I know, like, I've seen a lot of people too always saying this, so proper credit to Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko,
absolutely,
who are right there along with Stan. But I don't feel like that takes away at all from what Stan.
I mean, and Schuster and Siegel and Bob Kane. I mean, lots of people did great big comic book characters. It's just the fact that he did so many, and even though I'm sure he had help on most of them. Yeah, and I'm sure he gave credit where credit was due on many times. It was a cutthroat industry, so I'm sure he also didn't many times. You know what I mean? Yeah. But that's not to say that he was solely responsible by any means. And proper credit to everyone who has brought these characters to life that we've loved so much for so long. But again, you can't argue that there was anyone nearly as prolific as Stan Lee when it came to doing that. It's amazing.
Awesome. All right, anything else we want to add on that? You got anything?
I think you guys said it all.
Awesome. All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to our first topic of discussion for this episode, and I'm going to give this one over to Jaron, since it's your first full-time show with us. You get to introduce the first topic that we're going to discuss today.
I get to go first?
That's right.
All right. So I watched Takeover War Games last night.
Yeah.
All right, now Jaron's time is up. Dan, what was your time?
Dang, just like that.
That's fair.
I kid. I'm sorry.
Did you watch Takeover?
No, I didn't.
So you're just trying to hide the fact you didn't do the homework.
Oh. There was homework?
there was homework. Yeah, NXT Takeover just happened. Well, it's funny, and I guess we should get this out of the way now because this episode's not going up till Wednesday. We are recording this before Survivor Series, unfortunately. So we haven't seen Survivor Series yet. So maybe we'll touch on that in the next episode, even though it'll be a week after it by that point. But we did just watch NXT Takeover, so
we just watch NXT Takeover.
Have plenty to talk about there,
and it's going to be way better than Survivor Series.
You're probably right, as NXT Takeover seems to be these days.
That's been a running theme for a while, right?
So, I got to say first, my observation with NXT in general, NXT is full of guys who haven't been beat down by the system yet.
Yes. You're right.
You know what I mean?
They're
like
young
I noticed
and
that
fresh and
even
still got the stars in their eyes.
Still got the stars in their eyes. But even besides that, did you watch the 365 with Kevin Owens?
I have not seen that one.
So 365 with Kevin Owens is like an hour. It's like a year condensed into an hour.
Okay.
And at the beginning of the hour, at the beginning of the year, he's talking about all these aspirations, and he's on this upward trajectory, and he's going to be the champ, and he's going to be, WrestleMania, and he's so excited, right? And by the end, he's talking about how he's just glad to be here, and he's really lucky to be a part of the WWE machine. Yeah. And, and it's different. You know what I mean? It's so different. And that's what I mean when I say NXT hasn't had that beat out of them, because you hear that sentiment a lot, like Mick Foley. If you the last book that Mick Foley wrote, I couldn't read because halfway through he slips into that mindset. There's literally a chapter where he's like, I just gave up at this point. I'll do whatever they want me to, and I'm glad to be here, but I'm done pouring my energy and my creativity into this.
Yeah.
And a lot of them go that way. A lot of them go that way. And when you hear interviews and stuff like that. And it's so NXT is all these guys that haven't done that yet. Yep. And it's coming, but
not for all of them.
Maybe not for all of them. I don't know, man. Anyway, Takeover War Games. You watched it, Danny. What'd you think of the show?
I did. I actually really enjoyed the show.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, a lot of moments that just made me. I popped a lot for a lot of things that happened. But I will say that, it's still, you can always tell when you're watching NXT that it is still very much the indie show of WWE.
It's so indie.
It feels like an independent wrestling promotion show. The way that the guys work specifically feels very indie. It doesn't feel big time. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing at all, because I love that we have NXT. Yeah. I love seeing these guys do their thing the way they want to do them. But the style it wears me out watching it. It really does.
Yes.
One of the things I noticed that was and I'm sure we're going to talk about some of the matches in specific, but one of the things I noticed all the way through the show, in every single match, it's finishers don't matter in NXT.
Nope.
There are a million go-homes in every match. Like, there were moments in some of these matches, and I think it was specifically the Velveteen Dream Ciampa match. I really noticed that, like, there were probably 3 or 4 moments in that match that were solid match go-homes that they crammed into one match. I mean, like, you could have gotten... I mean, like, there were seriously...
man.
Like, they could have saved some of these big go-homes for multiple matches, but instead they crammed them all into one match and treated them like falsies.
Yeah.
And it was insane.
Yeah.
Like, there was... I just...
Well, that's the thing. They have to do the falsies now.
Oh,
Yeah,
man,
you have to do
so
the
many
falsies.
false finishes.
You're kind of bumming me out because you just described a bunch of stuff I didn't like about like the couple of episodes of TNA I watched back in the day.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's
So it's
also
way
very,
different than TNA.
It's more like Ring of Honor, I'd say, or like a lot of the Ring of Honor stuff was like that.
Well, it's just when they get that, you know, they do these matches that are everybody's moving Mach 2 and they hit each finisher 11 times.
Yeah.
It's like, what is the point of anything that's happening, you know?
So it's partially it's that it's a different type of storytelling, and you've got to adjust to that, you know. So like once you adjust to that different type of storytelling, it's not as grating, you know. Now I'm a very old school fan. Like I'm a very old school fan, a very old school wrestler. So it's tough for me. Like I can see what they're doing, and I appreciate the energy, and I like a lot of it. Man, and I don't just want this to turn into a complaint session. So I'm not going to, because I enjoyed watching the show.
Yeah, that's the thing. I did too. Like,
but you can pick out. To me, I can pick out. I pick out the people who I think are going to fit on the big roster, and the people who are going to need to be changed for the big roster.
Yeah.
You know, Shayna Baszler, she's a superstar.
Oh, she's awesome.
She's amazing.
Yeah. I will. I mean, you know what? The women's match felt more main roster than it. I mean, it felt more like a classic wrestling match than it felt like Mach 5 crazy finisher-a-thon.
Yep.
The women's match was very. I mean, it's very good. God, the women's division in particular has just gotten so good. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so amazing.
Yeah. Aleister Black, superstar.
I like him a lot.
He carries himself so differently than everybody else on that roster, on the main roster. He feels like a big star already. Yeah. He feels too big for NXT, I think.
Yeah?
I think.
How long has he been around?
They did that. Do you watch NXT?
I don't watch it as regularly as I'd like to.
So I keep up with it. Like I don't watch it every week, but when I usually sometimes I'll go like 2 or 3 weeks and then binge all 3 of them. So like I watch it all.
Gotcha. Yeah.
They did this thing where he had been attacked and he, you know, for whatever reason he was mad about it, and everybody was scared of him. Okay, like, you know, because William Regal is running around like while he's off TV. William Regal's running around going, oh, I got to figure out what happened because Aleister Black's going to want to know. I got to figure out, and he's questioning everybody. It was awesome. And then finally, so then there's this chick, Nikki Cross, and she's nuts. Yeah. And she had a secret. She knew, right? Yeah. So they do this. There's this moment in where like the lights go down. She's in the ring, and the lights go down, and when they come back on, Aleister Black's sitting in the ring,
like sitting cross-legged, like he does. I love that. Yeah,
it was just an amazing moment because he didn't say anything. There was no words in this promo. What they did, like he sat in the ring. Nikki Cross rolled around the ring and was losing her mind, and when he held up one hand, she stopped. Yeah. You know, and he told her, come here, and she came over. And, like, I mean, the crowd was hanging on every second. They were chanting, this is awesome. Nobody said anything. Nobody did anything. There was no finishers. There was no... Because he's just got that star power. Yeah. You know?
You can tell when people have it, man. You can tell when guys have it, for sure.
And he's bananas.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've only ever seen one silent promo before, and that was years and years ago when Dave Bautista did one. Yeah, and one of the most entertaining things. I just remember like halfway through getting super excited. I'm like, what is he doing? And why am I so happy?
Right.
You know.
Yep.
How long's this guy been around?
He's been here a little over a year, I think.
Yeah.
He's been in NXT a little over a year. He's been around on the Indies for a while.
Well, I mean, I know the Indies, and I meant NXT,
Yeah.
and I know I've heard of him and seen him. I just don't know how long.
Yeah, well,
he's
I've been talking
actually
about
been
him.
there,
Yeah. My favorite match last year was him and the Velveteen Dream. Or was that this year? I'd have to go back and check.
He's got that sweet entrance where it looks like he's rising out of like a casket or whatever. Like he just like they got this little lift thing that like lifts him up. Oh, it's so cool.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So what do you want to talk about specifically with the matches here?
All right. Well, I jotted down some thoughts on each match. So the first match was Matt Riddle and Cassius Ohno.
What was that, dude? So okay, it was. So he's the what is he? The bro.
The King of Bros.
The King of Bros.
The King of Bros.
Bro. That's how he starts his promos, and the crowd's like way into it.
They're way into it. They're way into it. He's a former mixed martial arts guy, like legit mixed martial arts guy, and he's been doing the like he quit that early and has been making the rounds on the indies, and he's been doing like he's got the Bro Show.
Yeah,
and I'm not into him at all. I'm not into him at all.
I mean, this match wasn't even really a match.
It was not a match. It was just a knee. I don't know why they decided they needed to do that just to get like somebody said.
Poor Chris Hero.
Somebody said we have to have Matt Riddle has to be on Takeover, and they were like, all right, we'll just do this.
Yeah, so he just called out Ono, and Ono was like, yeah, I'll show you, and then he charged at him and took a knee to the face, and then 1, 2, 3. That was it. It was all it was.
Knocked out the king of knockouts.
Yep.
Let's see. I did like Mauro Ranallo's line. I can't say his name. Mauro Ranallo's line that the match lasted as long as a Hollywood marriage. Mauro
Ranallo. Yeah, I like that guy.
I do not.
I know you don't. I like him.
He's just a little.
He's
just a little too much.
He gets excited, man. Like he really gets into it.
Soft pass.
All right.
He earned some points with that. We talked about Shayna Baszler versus Kairi Sane.
Yeah.
That match was awesome.
So good.
Go watch that match.
Man, dude, I was hooked too. I thought Kairi had it at the end, man. It was awesome because like she hit that beautiful elbow that she does. But like as soon as she came down, I was like, that didn't look right. Because it was amazing, like the way she landed, like Shayna just like hooked her arm, like as she was hitting the elbow, hooked her arm and rolled her up and got the 3 count real quick. It was awesome. It looked so good. It was a 2 out of 3 falls match too, and it was just really good all the way through.
Yep.
So good
really,
stuff.
Really good.
Yeah,
I loved it. I wrote here that Takeout needed to be rated NC-17 because of Aleister Black's trunks.
Oh yeah.
They were a little
revealing.
They were a little tough, man. They were a little explicit.
Oh man, yeah.
I don't know if it was just I don't know if they were too tight or if it was the material or if he was just tucked differently than usual. I'm not sure.
You could see a little much.
You could see a little lot. It wasn't little. Good for him. I know why he carries himself that way.
And the show has reached a new low.
That match was very good, very indie. Ciampa Dream. I guess we got to talk. We talked a little bit about Ciampa Dream. I was surprised their match was so charactery.
Yeah,
I hadn't really found that Tommaso Ciampa was such a character yet. You know, like
the whole reason for the match was that Velveteen Dream was trying to steal a spotlight.
Yes, it was.
I was like, wait.
Yes, it was.
I've been there before.
Once, twice.
It's funny because I'm the spotlight on the indies. But you're right. Because there was that was very like the character aspect to it was really good. I love Velveteen Dream.
He's great.
He's
great.
So entertaining.
Yeah.
Holy cow, I love him.
I like him so much. I don't think there's going to be a spot for him on the main roster.
Yeah, I was. The whole time I was watching him, because I do really, really enjoy him.
Hope he proves me wrong.
But I worry that he's exactly the type of character that gets called up and then totally lost, and then next thing you know, he's in a silly tag team with Santino Marella, and you know what I mean? Like that's
or just off TV.
Back? No, he's not. But he might come back for this.
He's Adam Rose.
Oh man.
Well, I mean, he could be. He could
go that route.
Yes, yeah,
he could go that route. I see
that's an example of Adam Rose and the Rosebuds, super popular, worked on NXT, got called up, and then just became that thing that happened, and then he went away.
Man,
then he feuded with a bunny.
Apt description.
Then he feuded with a bunny.
The whole gone. Adam Rose thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Then was the War Games match. And the first thing, so before they start the War Games match, they have to run through the rules.
Yeah.
And I realized I hate the War Games match. the rules are dumb. It's so way over convoluted.
It's weird, man.
It's like so the match doesn't actually even technically start until everybody is in the ring. So there's a solid 10 minutes of these guys just beating the tar out of each other for no reason.
Because
while they're getting let,
you can't even win.
Yeah, while they're getting, you can't pin, you can't do nothing. While they're letting everybody into the match. It's
two rings.
It's a classic
in a cage.
Yeah,
and then because it's 4-on-4, so it's an 8-man match. So 2 rings in a cage. 2 people start in those rings. The other 6 dudes are locked in separate cages at the entryway, and every 5 minutes
little shark cages.
Yeah, every 5 minutes or so, they open one of those cages and let one more guy enter the ring. And so, it's just chaos, and you're right. You can't even win the match until all 8 of those dudes have hit the ring, which is a good 40 minutes into this match.
And, that's an old WCW thing.
Yes,
okay.
It is. Which Hunter is a huge fan of.
I want to make sure I was talking about the right thing because I know what a War Games is.
Yeah.
I have technically seen a War Games. I don't understand a War Games at all.
It's really complicated.
And that is the thing that I wanted to point out because I am a nuanced guy when it comes to stuff like that. I love it when you can just add little tweaks to things and change them around and just make them more interesting.
Yeah.
But even I fully understand that once the announcer's out there and he's got a 6-minute speech in front of him just to try to explain to a live audience how a match works, it's too much.
Yes.
People can't follow. They certainly can't follow in that room because half of them can't hear you.
Right.
And even at home, you're sitting there going, so wait, okay, so if they come from the left, then I gotta, and then what?
Yeah.
Well,
this is just so dusty. And all love to the American Dream. I love Dusty Rhodes. But this was I can see Dusty Rhodes sitting at the booking meeting explaining this. Oh, it's going to be great, baby. And then we're going to have 2 rings, and there's going to be a cage, and there's going to be a cage around both rings. And then we're going to have teams. So everybody's on their own team. You got the Horsemen, and you got my team, and just on and on and on. And what's everybody going to say? No, Dream, that sounds awful.
Yeah.
They're going to go, okay, great. Let's do it.
I think the proper way to approach that is to just keep laughing like he's joking.
Yeah.
And then moving on with
the
conversation.
I think that's what happened.
That's great. But he's the Booker man, right. So it was gonna happen.
Well, here's another funny thing is, like I said, I've been in the room with you guys. We've watched these during old wrestling days. I've seen them.
Yeah.
I can't actually picture what it looks like in my head right now. Despite the fact that I've seen it,
and you know
just
what,
not a good testament to the match.
No, but I mean, and you know what, and Dusty made money and Dusty drew money, and the War Games made money and drew money. They used to do it on a tour. They do it all on the loop. The War Machine, the War Games.
Yeah,
the War Games was a tour. It wasn't just one night at the pay-per-view. They did it around the whole loop.
Yeah,
and then ended with the pay-per-view. I think they ended with the pay-per-view.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's weird, though, to me that, okay, in this day and age, I feel like going back to the War Games match, doing it now, after we've basically perfected the War Games with the Elimination Chamber.
Yep.
Which is almost the same concept, but better in every way.
Yes.
And now we're going back to doing the War Games. It makes you just why not just do an Elimination Chamber or something? You know what I mean? And I know it's not a team battle.
Just because people stop saying no to Triple H.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. There you
Which,
go.
for the record, is usually a good thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, I love everything he's pretty much getting to do here with NXT. It's cool that we've got that.
And that's what wrestling is a glaring example of this. But with anything anything you enjoy, every once in a while something's going to be stupid.
Right.
Like they can't do cool new things if they don't try a bunch of things. And if you try a bunch of things, some of them suck.
Like all your toy and movie fans listen to me talk about wrestling for 20 minutes.
Nope. Though.
What about all your wrestling fans listening to us talking about toys and movies for 20 minutes?
Nope. This show's about everything.
That's right.
Pop culture, baby.
And if you don't like it, please keep listening anyway.
Yeah, please do.
One last thing I want to add.
Sure.
I'm not into the Undisputed Era at all.
Oh, that,
like I feel
that
like
group?
Yeah, I feel like their gimmick is that they're all millennials, and it drives me crazy. Maybe it's just working on me.
Maybe
Okay?
I mean, like they are
like
heels,
maybe
right?
it's just working on
that's
me.
what they're supposed to do.
But I cannot. I can't stand.
That's another one of wrestling's great conundrums. When you don't
Yeah.
like a heel, you have to sit there and go,
Is it
okay,
just 'cause
do
I'm
I not
nuts?
like the heel because I don't like this guy, or do I not like the heel because he's good at this?
Yeah.
You know?
You know what? A few things I will say. I enjoyed the last member of the Undisputed coming out of his cage, stealing the key and padlock, running over and locking
Pete Dunne.
Pete Dunne in
Locked
his
him
cage,
in his cage,
with his, and then he threw the key out in the crowd.
Yeah.
So
that
that he couldn't come out when it was. I was like, that's awesome.
Did
That's
that mean that
great.
the match could never start?
Yeah, basically, but it allowed them time to like really get over until like they ended up bringing out bolt cutters.
Yeah, they had a 4-on-3 advantage for an extended period. Because of it.
Yeah. So that was cool. The pyramid spot off the cage was awesome. And all I could think was who was at the top there? Was it
Adam Cole?
It was Adam Cole. I was like, how terrifying would that be, being in his position for as long as he had to be there?
Right.
Because he had to hang upside down, draped over the cage, because he was the tip top of this pyramid spot that they were doing. He had to stay there while they were building up this whole pyramid spot to do the giant suplex from the top. Plus, he was the guy that had to fall the farthest. Yeah. That means he had all that time to think about, man, eventually I'm going to be going way down there from all the way up here. But not until all these dudes are already building whatever monstrosities happening underneath me.
And if one of them slips just a little bit, I die.
Yeah.
So my favorite part about that was that when Hansen was the guy on the bottom who powerbombed everybody.
Yeah.
When he came over to powerbomb everybody, Bobby Fish was just hanging on his back doing nothing. Like,
dude,
trying to choke him.
Because he was trying to choke him, and he just stood up with this dude on his back,
and
walked over, and just powerbombed everybody off the cage.
6 other dudes.
That's the other thing I wanted to mention. Hansen was awesome in that match.
He's money, dude.
Like the way, I mean, he's a big, scary dude, and the way he moves is unreal.
Yeah.
Like some of the stuff he was hitting in that match. And the other thing I wanted to point out too was right after the pyramid spot, Ricochet did that insane backflip off the top of the cage to land on everybody.
Yeah.
He came down so hard and so fast. I was terrified he wasn't going to get that last rotation. I was shocked he didn't kill himself.
Yeah.
It was scary.
He's something else.
But it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
They did an amazing job. They did a better job. There's a long minute in the middle of that match where I was feeling like. So I don't love TLCs or the Money in the Bank.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
Because those those matches, like the match goes away and it's just about setting up the next spot.
What's the next crazy thing that's going to happen? Yeah, you're right.
So the thing that this match did way better than that I thought, like in the middle there was a long segment where they were, they had to knock everybody out so they could pull a bunch of tables in, and everybody had to lay there doing nothing while they threw a bunch of chairs in the ring, stuff like that, right?
Right.
I saw a bunch of that stuff in the middle. But then at the end, they did a much better job than the TLC and Money in the Bank matches of setting up cool looking visuals. And I really noticed that, the pyramid, like the pyramid, we got to see the pyramid built.
Yeah.
You know, and like they took enough time that you could see that visual, and they got it from a lot of different angles. There was the awesome moment where all 4 guys from one team stood up on one end of the cage.
That was so
All
awesome.
4 guys from the other team stood up on the other end of the cage, and they just stood there yelling at each other and had like the West Side Story march towards each other.
They all came together to the middle of the ring and got in each other's faces and were mouthing off. And then the whole crowd was just chanting NXT. It was a really cool moment. It was pretty amazing.
They did a much better job, I felt like, of creating moments rather than just setting up spots.
Yeah.
So I did like that about the match. I have respect for everybody in that match because I don't want to do it.
Oof. It got pretty intense.
And they all went all out.
Like when the chairs got in there and then the kendo stick and then the tables. I mean, they went bonkers. It was pretty nuts. But all right, cool. NXT Takeover was, great show. And now Survivor Series will... Well, we'll see how that goes, I guess.
We'll see how that goes.
Quick wrestling note before we move on. It was more of a movie note, I guess. But I don't know where else to put it in the show. But I did see that trailer for that Page movie.
Oh, yeah. Wrestling with my
The Rock
family.
did?
Yeah. That looks really entertaining. Like, I mean, I don't know. I shouldn't be surprised that I would want to see that. It's right in my wheelhouse. But, like, I think I'm surprised by how good... Because that's one of those movies where I'm like, oh, that exists, so I already want to see it. It'll probably be fine, whatever. But I watched that trailer, I'm like, oh, that looks like I'd want to see it even if I didn't care about this.
Well, you know the story behind that, right? They did a documentary on her family. The Rock watched that documentary and went, I want to make that movie. Okay. And then they made that movie.
Yeah, I knew. I didn't realize there was a documentary made about it. Is that something that's been released?
So it was. It was in the UK. Is where. So I think it aired over there and everything. I'm sure you can watch it.
I would imagine it's findable.
But yeah. So and then now they've turned it into a movie, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
I want to see.
And then Vince Vaughn showed up halfway through the trailer,
and then it became a Wedding Crashers movie.
Whoa! This is gonna be the best.
Like that time we were watching a trailer for a boxing movie, and then halfway through it became a Rocky movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out if Creed 2 is Creed 2 or Rocky 7 or Rocky 2 or Rocky 4 2.
Rocky 4 2.
So we can't know that. We can't know that until we watch it, because we didn't know. I was just assuming that Creed was going to be Rocky 7.
Yeah.
Rocky 7 with Michael B. Anthony. Is that his name?
No,
what is
Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan. I don't know who Michael B. Anthony.
Susan B. Anthony.
My favorite.
I'm so happy.
Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
But then when you went and saw it, it was Creed 1.
Yeah.
So we won't know about this one until we go see it.
Okay, that's fair. That's coming soon.
Yeah. This week, right?
Is it this week?
Yeah.
This is actually
Thanksgiving.
I was going to say
it's the end of November
we're
already.
in the holiday season, so we've actually got a bunch of movies coming out.
Ralph's going to break the internet any day now.
Ralph's going to break the internet. There's a Spider-Man movie coming out.
There is a Spider-Man movie coming out. That looks awesome.
I know. It looks fun.
Spider-Man.
John Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
There's no gold man. All right, let's talk some more about movies, because the topic that I wanted to bring up this week is totally bonkers. We got a trailer for a movie coming out in 2019 called Detective Pikachu. All right, so...
I'm still catching my breath. I just saw it right before we started taping.
Yeah. I'm probably alone in this group, but I am a Pokemon fan. I've been playing the Pokemon video games since the original ones came out. I enjoy the video games. I like them quite a bit. So this movie I had no idea was even going to be a thing until this trailer dropped, and I watched the internet have a total meltdown, but not in the way that like anybody was mad. It was mass confusion. Like, I'm pretty sure everybody watched this trailer and their brains stopped working for a few moments because nobody knew how to process what we just witnessed. I think the big moment, of course, okay, first of all, this trailer opens up and it's presenting this live action world where Pokemon and humans are walking alongside each other, and it's kind of insane because it looks exactly like what you would expect to see in a Pokemon world. Like the worlds that they've created in the video games and the cartoons and whatever, all of a sudden here it is in live action. They're using music from the Pokemon video games in this trailer. This is all stuff. This is one of the reasons I want to bring this up. This is all stuff we do not typically see when a video game is turned into a live-action movie.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
This is probably gonna be one of the first instances I feel like I've ever seen, or a video game movie has been made that actually looks and sounds like the video game.
I think I want to have this debate, but we can wait till you're done.
Okay, all right. No, I want to. Yeah, if there's a
Mario
debate,
Brothers?
we need to have it.
I was gonna say
Mario Brothers. Yeah.
I want to have these two debates.
I'm with you, John.
I want to have these two debates, but I'll wait till you're finished.
So the trailer is looking pretty amazing at first, and then we get this moment where we see this like live action Pikachu, and it's a little weird seeing them looking live action because they're CG. But I mean, he's cute. He looks cute. He looks like Pikachu, and then he starts talking, and it's Ryan Reynolds. And it was at this moment that everybody's brains broke.
Yep. And you know Ryan Reynolds' voice as soon as you hear it.
Yeah.
Like,
So
that's Ryan Reynolds,
so
right?
at first, so you go through these weird emotions, right? Because at first you're like, oh no, I don't want a Pikachu that sounds like Ryan Reynolds because we just got all these Deadpool movies. So now it's just, this is his thing now. This is what he does now, I guess. But then the trailer like progresses a little bit.
Hold on. What?
No, okay. So
Seconded.
so Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool are like the same guy now.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. I feel like when you see this, everybody's like, oh great. I mean, this is just going to be like
it's just going to be Ryan Reynolds' shtick.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds' shtick.
Got it. Okay.
It's just like, it's not a Pokemon movie anymore. It's Pikachu is just Ryan Reynolds.
Got it.
Okay, that's what I meant to say.
Okay, that makes sense.
So,
all right, I'm back.
But then you move on in this trailer and you find out, well, okay, it's just this main kid that can hear him talk like Pikachu. So, like, when he talks to everybody else, he sounds like the Pikachu from the cartoon, doing the Pika Pika and stuff like that. And that's a humorous moment in the trailer, too.
And my brain had already stopped working.
Yeah.
They didn't explain why that was at all, right? Okay.
No, they didn't explain it. I mean, maybe we'll get an explanation.
I mean, they made some sort of reference to that kid's dad being a trainer or something.
Yeah,
like
he was like a legendary Pokemon trainer or something.
Because Ken Watanabe was there too.
Yeah,
I got so confused by the rest of the trailer, I forgot to be confused by Ken Watanabe being there.
The main kid is the kid that was just in Jurassic World.
That is who that was.
Justice Smith, I think is his name. So I mean, and then and we see like tons of Pokemon in this trailer. Like we see Charizard and Greninja and Jigglypuff doing karaoke, which is hilarious, and like all kinds of crazy stuff. So like at the end of it, like it's just one of those like the general consensus I saw online after this trailer debuted was exactly the way I felt. Everybody was basically just kind of like, what? Why? Huh? Okay, I want to watch it. Like that's just like, it's just a weird looking movie that looks like it's probably going to be fun.
Yes.
And I'm kind of excited for it.
Like there needs to be way more of that stuff that comes out of Hollywood. Like that's a little bit of the old magic of the thing you had no idea was coming and doesn't really make any sense. I've been thinking about some old '80s movies that I really liked, and the concept of I don't want to get into a whole 20-minute explanation how this came along, but there's a movie from '87 called Real Men with John Ritter and Jim Belushi.
Okay.
That's one, like, I think I discovered it probably 15 years ago, give or take. And so it had already been pretty old by the time I discovered it, and I watched that movie. I'm like, how do I not, like, I mean, these guys aren't A+ list, like super high names, but how were these guys both in a movie that was right in my wheelhouse and right in the years when I would have been watching this stuff, and I totally didn't even know it existed.
Right.
And then I watched it, and I'm like, how does this movie exist?
Yeah.
Because it is bonkers.
Yeah.
And this is obviously like a big budget, star-studded version, so that's not the same thing, but it led me to that thought of like, you don't really, like, you want to see people you enjoy taking these weird chances, and you want to see Hollywood making these weird movies, because I love the franchise stuff.
Yeah.
I like a lot of those, I will watch 10 more Pirates of the Caribbean movies, even if they all stink, because the first several were so, you know what I mean? Like, I will keep going back to that. But you don't have to have just that. You can have these bizarre things, too. And this could easily, like, if this is big, it'll be a franchise. It'll kick it off right there, because it's already got all the backing and the fan base and all that stuff. So this is not the same thing at all, but it is the coolest thing in the world that you can take a property that exists, that has that big fan base, and they will take this bizarre chance on it with very little fanfare. Because, like you said, I had no idea this movie existed. until you started talking about the trailer. And from what you've said, no one had any clue this movie was coming out until all of a sudden, boom, it was just there.
Ryan Reynolds tweeted the trailer, and that's how everybody found out about this. Isn't that insane?
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah.
So it's also this is a very smart, calculated thing, right?
It seems that way.
I mean, so one, you're talking about how it's the first video game movie that looks like the video game. Mm-hmm. Well, they've also got a ton of other sources to draw from, right? This isn't just Super Mario where they're trying to figure out how do we make a plumber who jumps on walking mushrooms. You know what I mean? This isn't that. There's been cartoons and comic books and 100 different video games and toys and everything else, right? So they have plenty of source material to build this world around.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
But they've also chosen this kind of obscure option to make the movie, not because if they, we've all been waiting for I'm not a Pokemon fan, but all the Pokemon fans have been waiting for a live action Ash Ketchum to hate, right?
Okay, to hate. Okay, yeah.
Right. So that's the thing. You cannot possibly
I get where you're going.
You cannot possibly win because there's so much. There's so much love and so much lore and so much emotion that all these people have attached to that franchise, which is and that's the one, right? Ash and Pikachu.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can't, you can't make a Pokemon movie without Pikachu, because
he's the mascot of the franchise.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be like if you went to Disney World and there was no Mickey.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, but what if we do this other obscure thing that some people like and it's part of the lore, but nobody's gonna have that deep-seated love to it, you know what I mean? And so they can test it that way. So they make this movie that's kind of off the wall. And you know what? If nothing else, Ryan Reynolds is in it. He's so hot right now. Right?
He's so hot right now.
Right? So if nothing else, if all the Pokemon fans hate it, the Ryan Reynolds fans will go see it. Yep. Okay? So this is a very, to me, this is a genius move.
It is.
And also now, if this movie comes out and is actually awesome and people love it, now they have a basis that they won't get nonstop negative press when it's time for the Ash Ketchum movie.
Yep.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. Or they just turn this into the movie franchise because they're already set up.
That's the other danger when this option, right? So when this goes gangbusters, they're like, well, nobody cares about Ash Ketchum, right? So then they're gonna do a second Detective Pikachu that is gonna flop because everybody wants Ash Ketchum. But that's down the road.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know. Again, I don't know that everybody. If this one is a big hit, then not everybody's gonna want the Ash Ketchum. They're gonna be happy with this thing they have. If it's somewhere in that middle ground, I think there's a chance
I don't know.
Right there.
That's the thing too, though. For me. Right, when Netflix was like, we're going to make a bunch of Marvel movies, and they're like, we're going to make Daredevil and Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, right? And then they did Daredevil, and Daredevil was amazing, and everybody loved it, and they were like, never mind, we're going to do a second Daredevil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I would compare that. I love both seasons of Daredevil, but I was also super excited for Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, and now I gotta watch another Daredevil first. It takes a little bit of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It just adds more weight in there and everything.
Right.
Like that,
Yeah. That's
WAIT.
Yeah.
I don't know. WEIGT. Also.
Yeah.
Also.
A little bit of both.
Welcome to the Geek Easy Spelling Bee.
I failed.
You brought up the Mario movie earlier.
Couple times.
I think this is the first time Nintendo has done a big budget live action movie of one of their properties since that movie, because of what that movie resulted in.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of makes us a big deal in a way too.
Yeah.
Well, and the argument I wanted to have that I brought up earlier is I can't consider this a video game movie exactly.
Okay.
On a couple of levels. First of all, I and correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't that property start as a card game? And then it got big over the video game? That opened as a video game, and then the card games came?
Video game started it.
Which doesn't help my point, but it doesn't negate it either. It's just, Jaron hit on it, though. It's so big now. It's not just...
it's more than just a video game.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of the stuff they're drawing from... Because to me, a Pokemon video game movie would have to be people training and catching and whatever else. I don't know a lot about the lore. Pokemon's one of those things. I know there's a strong tendency to you have your things and other things are stupid. I try not to do that, and I know I fail sometimes, but this is not one where I fail on. This is not because Pokemon's one of those things where like I picked up the first video game way back on the Game Boy because it was a huge craze, and I went, I don't get it, but I'm gonna grab it, and I grabbed it and I played it for 3 or 4 weeks and went, I don't get it, and I never touched it again, and so I haven't watched the cartoons or played the card game or any of that stuff. But I get that. I mean, it's a popular property. It never struck me as terrible by any means. It just isn't my thing,
right.
you know?
Yeah.
But it is like, I feel like there's so much out there between the, you know, the other movies and the cartoons. They're going to be drawing a lot more from the storytelling that has been done around Pokemon for something like this, I would think at least, than they would just the video games, which to me were very much, they felt like, and maybe those have expanded, I don't know, but they always felt like RPGs, but like just like the fighting section all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean they are.
And so I just yeah, no, I feel like it's a video game movie in the same realm that Iron Man is a video game movie. Like, sure, there's Iron Man video games, but also there's Iron Man everything else. You know?
I mean, it's a fair point. I mean, a good example of that is my 4-year-old is a Pokemon fan, and he's never touched a Pokemon video game.
Yeah.
But he watches that cartoon. He can name a ton of Pokemon because of that cartoon.
Yeah.
And like I showed him this trailer and he got all kinds of excited for it. He's never touched a video game. So you're right. There is an argument to be made there that it's bigger than that. It's more than just that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it looks fun for sure. I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, I'm in.
It looks bonkers, totally bonkers. And I like you said, I love that they did something like that.
Yeah.
Just something totally off the wall and crazy, but it looks like a lot of fun.
And I want to support stuff like that. That's why, like, you know, like there are times where ideas that I like around products that are bad, and I'll still try to. You know, I've watched several of Adam Sandler's Netflix movies. I didn't want to. And I wasn't rewarded for it. But I went, like, they signed a big name to make Netflix movies, right. And I liked that. Yeah. I wanted more of that, you know? And so I was like, I want these things to be popular, so I'm going to make sure whatever metric they're going by, because I don't understand Netflix math at all. And this is going to segue right into my part if we're ready for that. Yeah.
Did you watch his comedy special real quick?
No, I haven't. That's one I'm actually. I'd be halfway in. Yeah,
I did enjoy that.
Yeah, I'd be because I still like Adam Sandler fine. Probably, I just don't like any of the movies he's made in the last like 20 years. Zohan excluded, of course.
He did this whole like segment dedicated to Chris Farley.
Oh, really?
Pretty good stuff.
I bet.
Pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, this does move perfectly into the topic you wanted to talk about, Jonathan. Which is Netflix original movies.
You know what I miss the most about this show?
What?
How good we are at segues.
We're segue kings.
Because we don't plan these; they just happen. It's amazing.
You wanted to talk about Netflix movies, and in specific, you wanted to watch the Netflix original movie Outlaw King, which just hit Netflix recently. Did we all watch that movie?
I did.
I did too.
Okay.
Did you watch it?
Most of it.
Most of it. This was your assignment,
John.
Okay.
Get it together.
You're unreal.
Yeah, it's been a long week, but this is going to play into part of my conversation too, though.
All right,
so,
let's go.
yeah, this is I don't know the words to use because I don't want to use serious filmmaking or whatever, but like Netflix is getting more and more
legit.
Yeah, with their movies, you know, and you see a trailer for a Netflix movie coming out, and I am getting more and more surprised every time you get halfway through and you see a Netflix logo, or you get to the end and that sound comes up, and you're like, you know, we were watching the trailer for that Kurt Russell Christmas movie that's coming out soon.
Oh, we have to talk about that on
the
first
time I saw the trailer, I was sitting next to my wife on the couch, and I said out loud, I went, I'm going to go see that movie 10 times. And then it got to the end, and then Netflix logo popped up, and I looked at her and smiled, and I went, I'm going to sit right here and watch that movie 100 times.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Outlaw King is sort of I have not been able to put my finger on what they're doing or what they're trying to, because I know they are legitimizing themselves, and I know they have an Oscar on their radar for that purpose. I'm not saying that this is the movie that's going to do that by any means.
Right.
But the more serious subject movies that come out with the more big name stars, you sort of try to wonder where that fits into some of this stuff. Outlaw King is a Chris Pine movie that was it was directed by the guy who directed Hell or High Water with Chris Pine from a couple of years ago, which was an Oscar contender. It is essentially a sequel to Braveheart. It picks up, right towards the end of that. Now, Braveheart was a movie based on historical events that took creative license. This is a movie based on historical events that took creative license.
Right.
I have no idea how well either of them actually stick to the truth. I've never done the studying of Scottish history, but it basically takes, it starts very shortly before William Wallace is caught, captured, and drawn and quartered, and picks up with a story of Robert the Bruce and his attempts to reclaim Scotland from England, going forward from there. So right where Braveheart cuts off is where this one goes. So you've got all these different factors between the talent behind it and the subject matter and the Oscar pedigree coming in, and then they drop it in November, which is right into Oscar season. Now, Hollywood, to my understanding, gives no credence to Netflix whatsoever as far as like the people who vote. Obviously they're getting more and more big names. People who work in Hollywood are fine cashing Netflix checks.
Right.
But they're not on anybody's legitimate radar. They've had some success with like documentaries and stuff like that as far as like award season goes. But they've never had anything that was, like a big push. I think Beasts of No Nation a couple of years ago got some nominations for stuff. That was an Idris Elba film.
I love that guy.
Yeah. And it was a decent flick.
Movie.
Yeah, but they're all very Oscar baity, and I don't know if that's what their plan with this was at all. But as soon as I saw all the names behind it, like that's immediately the red flags that started going off in my head. So I have watched most of this movie. I will say I have enjoyed it quite a bit. It's just not going to win any Oscars.
No.
It's not going to be in contention for any Oscars. You know what I mean? Like, so if that was kind of their goal with this one, then they've definitely fallen short of it here. Yeah. But the idea that interests me isn't whether or not this one's going to hit. It's what that push is. Like, is that what they're going for? They've got a movie coming out later this year from Alfonso Cuarón, who's won a couple of Oscars in the last few years. Birdman and... I'm drawing a blank on the other one. That he got his big push for and everything.
Yeah, that other movie.
The other one.
Yeah. And it's already getting a lot of like prestige buzz or whatever. Again, I don't know if the Academy is going to give it any credit.
Right.
I think it's a Spanish language film. And there's never been a foreign language film that's won Best Picture. Yeah. But it's one of those where even if they pull a nomination, they've won this round. For sure. You know what I mean? And that's getting a lot of buzz for that. But then the argument comes about of why or where they fall into a place like this. And this is kind of what I want to start unpacking. And I'm not going to do it with this movie in this one episode. But I want to start talking about this out loud, getting some feedback from you guys and from the internet, so we can take this journey with Netflix over the next, however many months, years, or whatever, into legitimacy. Because then the question becomes, what is movie watching in 2018? Because as I was watching this movie, the cinematography is brilliant. It's a very pretty movie.
Yeah.
The battle scenes are great. The effects are well done. There's some pretty gory moments in this thing,
Super graphic. Super graphic.
Yeah. But all done, very stylized, very entertaining, and I'm sitting there on my couch at 7 a.m. watching this movie, and I'm going, why doesn't it feel right?
Right.
Because I'm entertained, and it looks like a big budget Hollywood movie, more or less, but, the lights are on, and... it's really early. Yeah. It's not always when you watch a movie, and
you're not at the theater, and you're not at the theater.
Like I my phone beeps, and I still look over.
Right.
When the kids wake up, I have to pause it, and then I don't finish it in time. You know what I mean? Like, and so it becomes when I see a movie on Netflix, am I watching a movie, or is a movie on while things are happening? And I mean, it depends on the time and the circumstances,
Obviously,
of course, because
right.
I could turn all the lights off. I could watch it after the kids are in bed and make sure I'm set up for
That's
that
how
2
I watched
hours.
it, funny enough.
I can make sure, I can try to put myself in that room, but the second I walk into a theater, I'm there. Everything
Right.
else is shut off.
Yep.
I have to put a lot of effort into doing this with a Netflix movie. And so the entire experience has changed, and I don't know that my brain has reconciled the difference between those two yet, or if there is a reconciliation, or if these are just simply different experiences, and we as people of the future now have to figure out where those lie together. And then the other question, obviously, is once we reconcile that, how much longer will it take for the suits in Hollywood
Well, I
to
wonder-
do so for award type things
It's
and that sort of
probably-
thing? You know what I mean?
It's going to be a personal thing though too, right? Because I see all the time people talking about how they don't actually enjoy going to the movie theater and they would rather watch movies at home. So I guess and I think we're at a point now where aren't more people apt to watch movies from their own homes than they are going to the theaters?
Yep, I believe so.
Like we're kind of in that shift.
Yeah.
So Netflix doing this is obviously a smart move, right? Because those right there are the people that they're really targeting. I feel like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know it's good for Netflix. Well, I assume it's good for Netflix because they keep doing it. Like I said a little bit ago, I don't understand Netflix math at all. Like I don't know. I can't think of a single person who is going to go Outlaw King with Chris Pine. I'm going to sign up today.
Right.
You know, like you're either already a member and you're interested,
That's
but
true.
but it's not going to sell a membership. I wouldn't think. You know what I mean? Now maybe I don't know. There are definitely people who if they make more movies like that, maybe this is the beginning. Maybe there are more art house folks out there who are going to go, well, if I can get all this stuff on Netflix instead of being mad at my local theater not carrying it, then maybe I will sign up. But from a movie to movie basis, they don't really release like viewership.
Yeah.
They don't put those numbers out there. I don't know how they calculate where they're getting their value back. I know a lot of times when they release a big new TV show, within a week they've greenlit a season 2.
Yeah.
So some metric somewhere told them that it works.
Right.
I don't know what it is. But I think the fact that they are doing it and they're doing it more means that it's got to be good for them. I think it's definitely good for movies as a whole because anytime you're going to be able to put more options out there for more people, I mean that's always good for everybody, you would think. But it's like I do feel like movie viewing is in a transition period right now because it is not the same thing as sitting in a theater. I mean, like I said, even if people prefer watching the movies at home, they aren't watching it in the same way that they watch it in a theater.
For sure.
Because it's too easy to pause and go to the fridge, to not pause but look at your phone for 5 minutes when a message comes through, to be just distracted by the constant world around us that distracts us all the time.
Right.
Whereas when you do go into that theater and those lights go down, you're just there for 2 hours.
Right.
And you are focused on that movie. And yes, you can go get a refill and, nod off. And, there are the guys who do sit there and look at their phone the whole time.
Yeah.
It happens there, but
Jerks.
Yeah, I hate that so much.
I do it sometimes.
Just jerk.
I'm sitting in the back. But it's a different experience, and what does that mean to filmmaking? And how do you steer into that skid? That's my thing here. I don't have a point I'm getting to because this is the opening of a discussion that I'm planned to keep having on this show. But at what point do you, as a creative person, have to start steering into that skid and making movies for people whose attention span isn't going to go more than 20 minutes?
Yeah.
And a lot of that's done by doing more serialized storytelling. Netflix does wonderful job on their TV series, which are basically all miniseries.
Right.
They're 4 episodes, 8 episodes, 13, whatever they are. They're almost always self-contained stories that flow through there, and that I feel like sort of is maybe what movie making will become as the future goes on, to account for the fact that people aren't going to theaters anymore as much as they used to. And if the theater industry doesn't stop that skid, and if it doesn't halt its decline, and if TVs don't stop getting cheaper someday, because it's easier and easier to put that experience in your own home.
Right.
And people want easy.
Yeah.
You know, and that's which there's nothing wrong with that, but where does it all kind of meet? And this movie in particular I chose as the one to kind of bring that out because it has all of those elements from like 4 different worlds converging. You know, and actually I was listening to another discussion about this movie on a different podcast, which I don't know if we should name different podcasts.
I don't mind if you want to.
But they were basically saying, like, why wasn't this a miniseries? You know, couldn't they have told this story a little bit better if they would have taken a little bit more time? And what was the reasoning behind shortening it to the point where it was a movie because maybe it hurt the storyline some? I don't necessarily fully subscribe to that because I think there's a big difference between a TV show, be it a miniseries or a full-fledged, and a movie. And I enjoyed this as a movie.
I would not have watched 13 episodes of this shit.
I think I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I think I'm with you on that.
You know.
I'm not even sure I would have read the description and even turned that on to give it a chance. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I feel like I would have skipped right over
I had skipped it a long time until John said he wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I guess I better watch this.
So, but that's kind of it, and I feel like I'm just kind of drawing on now because I don't have that question I'm getting to because I haven't figured out the question yet.
Gotcha.
Right.
But that's the discussion. That's the thing that I'm interested in figuring out right now is just sort of like what is happening with the state of movie making and where does Netflix fall in?
Yeah.
And how can I better be entertained by it? Be better entertained by it.
Well, it's a good discussion.
Well, you could start by finishing.
Finish the movie,
Finish the
John.
movie.
It's a good discussion topic to open up to our listeners too, though. So if anybody else has thoughts that they want to throw out there on that, that's always it's cool to hear that because I'm curious too. I'm curious to see where it goes. I'm always blown away by the things that Netflix is putting out. Honestly, one of the things I'm really looking forward to on Netflix is they're doing a Dark Crystal series.
Oh, really?
And it's done just like the original Dark Crystal movie, full on puppetry and everything. And it's like I'm so interested in that. I'm so interested.
That's fantastic.
In that. So
and that's the other thing about them too is I refrain often from looking ahead to see what's coming out on Netflix because I like the surprise when these trailers drop for some of this stuff. You know, that Kurt Russell movie is the most recent one, so I'll just bring that up. I had no idea that was going to exist, and then and that's another one that this looks bonkers. Why is Kurt Russell Santa Claus, and why is he in an action movie almost? You know, what is going on here? But it looks super entertaining, so I want to see that.
So I was gonna say that's kind of my thing with the Netflix. I don't want to see them do the same thing as Hollywood because I like the more experimental stuff, whether it's a series or The Babysitter, which was my favorite movie of 2017.
It was insane.
But Hollywood wouldn't make that movie. Hollywood wouldn't do a remake of the networks wouldn't do a remake of the Black Crystal
Dark Crystal?
Dark Crystal. Yeah. That's. I want Netflix to do that's the stuff I want to do on Netflix. That's the stuff I want to pay $10 a month for.
Glow. I love Glow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's such a great show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? The Outlaw King can go back to the theaters where I don't have to see it.
I take it you didn't like it.
Man, I thought it was a snooze. I thought it had 0 memorable characters. The only character that threatened almost to become memorable was the Queen, and then she disappeared. I guess we're doing spoilers. Can we do spoilers?
Yeah, we
This is a spoiler podcast.
Spoiler podcast, okay. Because she disappears from the main thrust of the movie 20 minutes in. I don't know. Too soon. And I was not interested in the King. I did not think...
What about Douglas? Dude?
Yeah, Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Okay.
Douglas was pretty cool.
Douglas,
he was my pick for memorable character.
Douglas was cool and memorable in the 5 minutes of screen time that he got to be memorable in.
Yeah.
He had 3 moments, and yes, they were cool moments, but then he was just in the background the rest of the time, riding along. I was bored. And I thought I thought they got too big for their britches. I thought the battles were bad. I did not. Yes, I did not think they. So there was one in the middle that I thought was pretty much a straight ripoff of the Battle of the Bastards on Game of Thrones.
Oh, I have not seen it.
So.
Oh. Yeah.
Well, there's this.
But there's probably a lot of.
There's this battle.
Yeah.
Everyone out there knows what you're talking about.
Okay, everybody else knows.
Not sure.
Everybody else knows. So I thought I thought it was a ripoff of that.
Okay.
And I thought the big climactic battle at the end could not hold its own weight. I didn't think it could hold itself up. I thought it really got revealed. I mean, the one guy's sword, you could see his sword flopping around. It was rubber or whatever. Like, it looked.
Whoa, I didn't even notice
bad.
that.
Yeah, the prince of Wales.
Okay.
Every time they showed his sword, it was flopping around. Now, I don't know what it was like in medieval times, and maybe the metal was floppier back then. You know.
Oh, I didn't even. notice that.
Maybe I was just paying a little bit too much attention, and it was just that thing like if I held up a pencil and did. I don't know. Okay, but it stood out to me, and I was like, did they just show a rubber sword? Yeah. And then I saw it a couple more times, you know. I thought it was jumbled. I did not think it was a well shot action scene. I could not tell what was going on at any moment in time, and not in like the good way, you know, like, oh, it's war, I don't know what's going on, are we all gonna die? Oh my goodness. No, like, just like, what is happening? Who's that guy? Where's that? Did that guy just get stabbed? Did I know that guy? I don't know. It did not do it for me.
Yeah, you know, I will say on the I can't argue or back up on the confusion of a medieval battle scene, because they are all I like those movies. I enjoy Braveheart. I have seen some Game of Thrones. I like it. I have never seen a medieval set movie where a battle happened and I had any idea who was who. I just see people getting bashed. You know what I mean?
I remember feeling like, and maybe I need to go watch Braveheart. Yeah. I remember feeling like, as a straight comparison, man, like I specifically was thinking the battles in Braveheart were so much more coherent than this.
Yeah, and maybe so. And this is a me thing, not a movie.
Oh,
because there's no. I've had that problem with a couple of seasons of Game of Thrones I've watched with this movie. Again, anything medieval set, even when it's not a battle scene, like. I just can't tell who's who. All their names sound the same. They're all dressed the same.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, they all have long hair and beards. I don't know who half the characters are until about 2/3 of the way through the movie.
And then they start dying.
You know, yeah, exactly. You know, and that's a me thing right there. But it's never stopped me from enjoying the movies. That's like a lot. I really enjoy a lot of Shakespeare plays and Shakespeare movies. I don't have a clue what's happening in any of them. I can't tell you why I like them, but I'm happy sitting there watching them. You know.
Yep.
So,
well, if any of you have ever wanted to see Chris Pine naked, this is this is your movie.
Yeah,
there you go.
Talk about NC-17.
Yeah, it was graphic in more ways than one.
He's got nothing on Alistair Black.
Bring it back to that.
Straight up.
What's this show rated? Oh,
we're not revealing anything.
I took that actually as an interesting observation too. When that movie started, it popped up a little scroll on the top of mine to let me know it was rated R. But that's pretty rare for Netflix movies. Usually they go by like TV ratings. I thought even the movies that I thought maybe I'm wrong about that.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
I know
that.
The shows come up all the time with like TVMA and TV, whatever, age wise. And I thought most of their movies were either unrated or also TV rated. And again, I'll go back and do some research on that, double check, because it was not a question in my head until I said it on the show. When I was thinking it earlier, I was positive. And now I'm saying it on the show. I'm going, well, am I right? Maybe I'm thinking of the TV shows. But I've watched several of their. I've watched several of their original movies, and I was under the impression they were all kind of by that different rating scale. And so, does that have anything to do with any of their behind the scenes plans of what they're doing? Do they feel it's more legitimate if the MPAA gets involved? Is it a coincidence? Was this supposed to be a theatrical release and turned into a Netflix movie? Because they have. They did release this one actually in one theater. They are releasing They're doing 2 or 3 theatrical releases, I think, through the end of this year. I think that Alfonso Cuarón movie is going to have a short theatrical release, and there was one other. Oh, the Ballad of Buster Scruggs, which also just came out. I haven't watched yet. It's a Coen Brothers movie, which I think may have started as a TV series possibly and then been condensed into a movie. That's at least one of the rumors I've heard, but apparently it's like 6 short stories that are kind of sewn into a movie form.
Interesting.
But it's a Coen Brothers Western,
right?
Which are also, and it's dropping in November. These are all Oscar words.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And again, I haven't heard any buzz that says it's going to get an Oscar push. But it's like, our waters being tested? You know what I mean?
I know. I think you're onto something for sure.
Yeah, you definitely are, because I'm looking at it right now, and Buster Scruggs and the Outlaw King are the only things I can find that are not rated like TVMA.
Okay.
Wow. Look at that.
And they're
Detective
the ones,
John over here.
Figured it out.
Yeah.
What did I figure out? Can I
figured what out?
I figured out there's more to the story.
Can I be voiced by Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah. Detective John.
Yeah.
No.
So,
John,
but I mean,
Goodman,
maybe that's just because they're getting those limited theatrical releases. But it's not like you can't. You know, maybe it is. Maybe that's it. It's just because they're getting that one theater screen release. Maybe they had to get the MPAA involved just to get on there. So, but it's interesting. Just the changes that are coming, and I feel like I know less, or I don't know more than I do know.
In my movie, you'd be voiced by Patton Oswalt.
I'll take that. I'm fine with that.
All right. Well, let's move things along to our final discussion topic of the day, keeping on the Netflix train.
Yeah.
We are going to discuss... Yep, good segue there. Good segue. One that I'm certain everybody is ready to hear me discuss, only because I've been in so many requests for this, so this had to be done. Let's talk about She-Ra and the Princesses of Power.
Can I ask one question?
Yes.
What's it rated?
What? Jaren just closed that.
I was going to say.
You're going to make him open it back up?
I kid.
So you only watched an episode, right?
Yeah,
so
which was like half an episode because it's like it starts with at least a 2-parter.
Yeah.
Like I got to the end and she found the sword. Is that a spoiler? Spoiler
No.
alert.
Okay, we are going to go into full spoilers on this.
Full
so I'll throw that out
No,
there.
I have to leave in a second here then.
Full spoilers. We got to talk about this show. So I want to, before I say anything, I want to turn it over to Jaren. I want to hear your thoughts on what you've written down because you've got notes.
Well, my notes are all for the original series.
They're for the original series? Oh, that's right. Because Jaren told me when I said I want to talk about this new She-Ra show, his response was, "Well, I'm going to go watch the Filmation series also." And I was like, "The whole thing?"
I tried. I made it a little over.
You're saying you didn't finish?
On my extra credit, I did not finish
that
mine.
was totally extra credit. Because I am going off of memory mostly with the original She-Ra series.
It's probably way more coherent than having watched it. It's tough, man.
It's tough to get through.
It's just tough to keep going because it's so bad.
Hot takes. Here we go. Hot takes.
Look, I remember, I remember watching He-Man and She-Ra as a kid and loving it. Mm-hmm. Okay, mm-hmm. When I first saw that Netflix had He-Man on it, I was like, "What? Awesome!" Let's. I'm walking all the way down this nostalgia trail.
Yeah,
I got 3 episodes in and I had to stop.
Yeah,
it does not.
I'm gonna stop right here for a second, and I just want to say. This is great that we've got, because you are now playing the role of the fan who loved He-Man as a kid.
Okay.
And you remember loving He-Man, and now you're revisiting this stuff as an adult. Okay, so you're playing that role. I am wrapped up in this all the time.
All the time.
With what I do. So this is cool to hear this outside perspective of something that's out.
I got away from it for a while.
I am in the middle of this fan base, okay? Like, I feel immense pressure to discuss this show.
Okay.
So I am glad that we have you here. Okay, so continue.
I'm happy he's going down this train of thought because I don't want to get the most hate mail.
Yeah.
On this show.
Get kicked right off the show. If Jaren ever comes back, we're done.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry guys. So like I had that in my mind, and I was still like oh man, I only made it through 3 He-Mans. But I'm going to go make myself get through a bunch of these She-Ras.
Okay. Yeah.
I think I approached the She-Ras with a little bit more open-mindedness because I had seen those episodes of the He-Man that I couldn't watch and knew what I was getting into a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, when I went into the He-Mans, it was just all nostalgia, all like, I loved this when I was a kid. I can't wait to watch it. Oh. I was a dumb kid.
Oh, no.
That's rough.
only in the sense that I didn't know what I was watching.
Yeah.
It's so different. It's so
It's
different.
a universal truth that all kids are dumb. It's not even a bad thing. It's just,
I mean, you know,
how are
right-
you supposed to know anything if you haven't been around for more than 20 minutes?
Yeah, you know, as a kid, oh, He-Man runs up and punches it. Awesome. I like He-Man. Look at the colors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm with it. I'm with it. And you don't notice how often they reuse certain animations.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't notice the type of things like I cracked up every time they had to walk anywhere because there would be like a hard cut to a scene of them just walking straight, you know, like, yeah, just straight walking. And, you know, so it would crack me up.
Well, and a 5-year-old also knows nothing about story structure, nor do they care.
Yes.
Nor should
yeah,
they.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, as somebody with a more developed palate, it's tough to make it through some of this stuff. Now, I did start to have fun. Once you get past the first 7 episodes are Secret of the Sword,
Basically, yes.
which is awesome. Which is like you know that's the one thing like I got nostalgia watching that because I actually had Secret of the Sword on tape.
Nice.
So I would listen to it, and I
Nice.
listened to it a lot, like when I was going to bed and stuff.
Yeah.
So like I'm watching through these episodes, and it's all coming back immediately.
Yeah,
so
nostalgia.
I did start to get some of the nostalgia back. And I was able. I had some fun with it. I'd forgotten there was like a Horde Prime.
Yeah.
So Horde. So
I don't like Horde
He
Prime.
says disappointedly.
I don't like
so
Horde Prime.
so
I've always said that.
so I was blown away. Okay, and I'm just there's one episode where there's Horde Prime's son is there, and he's this little kid, and in the beginning of the episode he's running around with Hordak, and then he kind of gets captured. He basically goes through the same arc that Adora did, where he's like, oh, the Horde, they're good, and blah blah blah, you know, they're just rulers.
Yeah.
And then you hang out with the rebels for 5 minutes and see how the Horde actually treats people.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But he's this little human kid that is Horde Prime's son. Okay. And then,
So weird.
well, because then in the next episode we meet Horde Prime, and Horde Prime is like this gaseous, like ethereal, floating. You know,
Giant
he
robot
talks
thing behind clouds.
Well, yeah, he
and-
talks in
yeah.
color flashes, and then his big robot hand comes out.
Yep.
And I'm like, so that kid was this guy's son? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, but then what really made me so happy, and this was what kind of like put me over where I was like, this show is just bad, to like, well, I'm just gonna have fun with this show.
Yeah.
Because when he's talking to Horde Prime, like Hordak is talking to Horde Prime is going on vacation. So this big gaseous ethereal robot, right? He's like, I'm going on vacation. Watch out for take care of my ship while I'm gone.
Oh my god. Yes.
And so at first I'm like, this thing is going on vacation. Then to make it even better, Hordak starts complaining, like when you know the show gets complicated and his ship's getting his things getting smashed up that he's supposed to watch over, right? He's like, I'm dealing with this while Horde Prime is away on some tropical island sunbathing. So then I'm trying to picture this big giant gaseous cloud robot like sunning himself on the beach. I'm like, I can't even.
Oh my god.
Like, I don't even know what I'm doing here.
This is just too perfect.
So
Because no, this is great because, you know, anybody that wants to, and I hate that I'm going to call anybody out. Anytime I see people get super bent out of shape about a new version of something they love as a kid, and claim that it's killing their childhood.
Yep.
It's because they're forgetting things like this.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
I mean, it's all silly fun made for kids.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with being attached to it and loving it because it does matter to us. But let the new thing be for the new kids and let it matter to them. I don't know. That's just I get on that rant a lot. That's we've had that discussion a billion times on this show about various reboots of various things that it's just the next thing that people are mad about because it's something that they loved as a kid that's coming back. That's just how it is.
And a lot of times they do suck, but they don't suck just because they're new.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. All right, so shenanigans of the original series aside,
all right,
let's talk about the new show.
All right, I really liked the new show.
Yeah,
I thought it was good. I thought it. Oh man. Okay, so like one, I thought the She-Ra Catra connection was as well done as like the Captain America Tony Stark.
Hey,
like you know what I mean?
Good. Yeah, that's
like they created some moments in that show where like I was like 10. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, what do you got? Oh yeah, like I see both sides and not both sides. I mean the Horde is still the Horde,
right?
You know what I mean? Like but. That kind of like we were supposed to do this together. This was you and me.
I am totally with you on the Adora Catra connection in this show is the single best thing that they created in this series. I think I loved it. I loved the Adora Catra, like the connection and the okay. So the thing that has always been like in my mind, the thing that has always made She-Ra so different from He-Man is the fact that Adora was raised by this evil fascist empire and was meant to believe that these were the good guys.
Right.
And she spent 18 years of her life probably doing some terrible things before being awakened.
Right.
And realize that she's on the wrong side and now has to fight this family, basically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas He-Man was just this lazy prince who didn't care about anything except sleeping all day, and then one day was handed this responsibility about, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a total difference there between these characters that actually makes She-Ra much more of a tragic character.
Right.
And I was happy to see them actually get into that a little bit with this show.
Right.
Because they got into that a little bit in the old show, but I mean, it's very, very little bit. I mean, that's still a very fun, very goofy.
Yes.
Like, they really approached that in the show a little bit, specifically with her ties and friendships with Catra.
Right.
And there's
a lot more.
It was so needed for this particular character.
You sort of hesitated on the see both sides, comment a little bit earlier, but it's not like it's not the Horde is the Horde versus the good guys necessarily. This is this one person,
right?
And they're two sides of this coin where like they're exactly the same except She-Ra figured it out.
Right.
And Catra, you know what I mean?
But Catra didn't care. That's the thing. See, you don't know.
Maybe I haven't caught that far. Yeah.
see, you don't know because the first time, and that's the thing. Like you don't see Catra's side, but you empathize with her. And you can appreciate that because the very first time She-Ra or Adora is like, they've been lying to us this whole time. They've been feeding us lies and twisting our minds. Catra goes, yeah, obviously.
Oh, okay.
You know, like that's the very first thing she says is like, I know.
They've been doing that our whole lives.
Right.
She says to her, yeah.
Yep. And
I like that a lot too because that's they totally did the thing where like you can tell that they care about each other.
Yep.
And so you start to like go, well, you can see Adora wants to save Catra. She wants to like wake her up too. But at the end of the day, Catra chooses the villain life. Okay. And that's awesome because
she has woken up. She just doesn't care.
She doesn't care.
Yeah, exactly.
And now it's more important for her to be Hordak's #1 and to like that's the path that she chooses. And I was really happy about that because I was like, yes, I want Catra to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
I want, you know what I mean? Like I want that.
Because you're a big Hordak supporter.
So my favorite thing in like
Skeletor for life, baby.
my favorite thing in movies, cartoons, anything like that. And I don't know what if there's an official word for them or what people call them, but I have always called them those point of no return moments. Mm-hmm. And there was like 3 really strong point of no return moments in this show and the new She-Ra.
Yeah.
And every time, and for what I'm talking about, like moments where, She-Ra and Catra are like face to face, and you can feel that like one of them has to make a decision and there's no going back.
The episode where they were both stranded in the Crystal Castle.
Yeah.
Was the best episode of I think.
It was a real strong episode.
It was strong. It was
a real strong episode.
That was the one where like the castle kept giving them both the visions of like things from their past, and they were like reliving these moments.
Yeah.
And then like shooting them back to regular time again. Oh man, it was crazy. So like it was a good episode to really show you the connection between these two characters, and then the conflict that they're now in with each other. I thought it was a really well written episode. Oh, it was great.
And it had one of the moments that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
However, I think the best thing they did, Hordak was amazing.
Hordak was done really well.
He was done.
You guys are both
so
Team
well.
Hordak.
No, I am way team. I would way be Team Hordak on that Hordak. He was something else, man.
Yes, I think they handled him well.
So different than the old cartoon.
He's so different than the old cartoon.
I think that's part of the reason why I'm so biased, because I'm a villain guy.
Yeah.
I'm a heel. I'm a villains guy, and so I'm sitting there watching the old one, just going, this is the worst villain ever. He's just not. Yeah. He's bipolar. His plans never make any sense. His reasoning is terrible. And then, he goes back and forth between being like, oh, he's the ruler of the Horde, or is Horde Prime? No, he's second to Horde Prime, or does he just work for Horde Prime?
That's why I don't like Horde Prime.
I am going full off memory from 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And all I remembered was Hordak being like the bigger, meaner Skeletor that Skeletor didn't like because they, because they were both
Skeletor used to work for the Horde and broke off from the Horde.
But I remembered like being introduced to, and maybe that's not even how they did it, it's just my memory of being introduced to them as like the the bigger, meaner, stronger.
Yeah.
And then as time went on, like in the 2000 series, which has become mainstay now, Hordak is basically created Skeletor, like because Skeletor was Keldor.
Well, I'm just.
And then his face got burned, and then so Hordak basically that's why he's got a skull face is because of Hordak.
And like I said, I'm just going off my memories but I'm going off those memories and then listening to your stories.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to just picture like this ominous figure I have in my memory.
Yes, and he's not
whining about his boss going on vacation.
Yes.
And it's hilarious.
And that's the kind of stuff that happens. However, then the Hordak in this new show is that ominous character.
Okay.
He's a leader. He's a leader of an evil.
How's the Horde Prime in the new show?
He's not there, and hopefully he won't be. Hopefully they nixed Horde Prime completely. I'm hoping so. All right. I will say, I liked the show.
Yep.
I don't think I loved the show.
Okay.
But I liked it, and I'm very, very happy that it exists. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of weird nitpicks, and mine are probably all fanboy nitpicks. But there were certain things that I was just like...
It's okay. You're in a safe place here, Dan.
Yep.
It's okay.
Yeah, Lamb on. So I'm excited for your...
Let's talk about Hordak first.
Okay.
Because I did really like Hordak.
Yeah.
I think he looks cool. He's still recognizable as Hordak.
Yep.
I liked him as a leader character. I even like how Imp was kind of just like, instead of like a weird whiny little sidekick, it was like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I liked how they handled Imp, and I liked that Imp was there. I miss the connection between Hordak and Adora a little bit, okay? Because, like, I know we're still talking about the goofy old Filmation series, but the implication was always there. You know, Hordak was the one who kidnapped her as a baby and then raised her.
Yep.
So he was kind of always like a father figure to Adora, and they kind of nixed that completely from this show.
Okay.
We had no confrontations between Hordak and She-Ra at all.
No.
And maybe they're saving stuff like that, which is probably good.
Yeah.
They're probably saving stuff
I'm just
like
assuming this will be a release schedule similar to Voltron, where it's kind of like not really seasons, but several sections a year or something like that.
That could be. So, and it's very possible that we're just waiting to get to that point. But I did enjoy how Shadow Weaver was kind of like had the motherly thing going on with. I like the way they handled Shadow Weaver in this show. I thought she was a great character. I loved how she was so obsessed with finding Adora because she cared for Adora.
Right.
But that pissed Catra off because Catra felt left out.
Yep.
I liked that whole dynamic. Well, I thought that was...
Yeah. Well, I really liked that Hordak was like, I don't care about one of your trainees.
Yeah.
Back up. Let's focus on Horde stuff.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, and I love that they really kind of did that right out the gate, too. Yep. Like, Shadow Weaver straight doesn't care too much about Hordak and his plan. She has her own agenda. Yeah. But on the flip side, Hordak's just like, look, crazy witch. I've given all of the power to Catra now, so back off. You know what I mean? Like, I love that. That was awesome. And I like how we got a little bit of contention within the ranks. Yeah. So that stuff was really good.
Yep.
I missed seeing more Horde members, and I hope we get to see more Horde members. Grizzlor was kind of there, like twice, like just in the background. But I really miss like seeing like some of the prime Horde members. I want Grizzlor, I want Leech, I want Mantenna, I want Modulok. They put, I mean, I know they're doing the big girl power thing in the show, which is what She-Ra should be, but they pretty much only focus on all the female members of the Horde. I want to see the other Horde members too. Yeah. I just want to. I thought Scorpia was a lot of fun. I was totally down with the way they handled Scorpia. I thought making her a princess was interesting.
That was interesting. Yeah, for sure.
I kind of like, that's something else I kind of like. They're all princesses of their... like quadrants of Etheria or whatever, and so like they gave them a reason for like I thought that was totally
the world
cool.
building was immaculate.
The world building was perfect. They set it all up, and there was a lot of fun nods to the original series that I really enjoyed. Like I like that Etheria is trapped in Despondos. That was a thing in the old show. It's like an alternate dimension called Despondos. So they brought that up. She-Ra's still evoking the power of Grayskull.
Yep.
And they imply that Grayskull is important and that Eternia is important.
Yeah.
They bring up Eternia, but they don't give you the whys.
Right.
But the fact that it's there makes me happy.
Yeah.
Like that, I'm glad that that's there, and I'm glad that that is an easy way to set things up for potential crossovers with Eternia at some point. Maybe He-Man's going to spin off of this. Maybe it'll be backwards this time. And I think I would be okay with a He-Man done in this style, honestly.
I would enjoy it. Can you imagine how much everybody out there is going to hate that? Holy cow.
I know. It would definitely be...
worse than Thundercats.
Is there a style of He-Man you think you wouldn't enjoy?
I mean, yeah, probably. A live-action movie I'm probably going to hate.
Touché.
Because I'm going to be too nitpicky. All right, so back to my nitpicks.
Yep.
I think She-Ra's design is my least favorite of all of them. She still looks like She-Ra, I guess. I really hate the biker shorts. I don't like the biker shorts at all. I feel like she should have just had long pants if they were going to do pants.
The biker shorts feel like something that wouldn't exist in that world.
Yeah, they feel out of place.
Yes.
It just looks weird.
Yep.
I like Adora's look a lot. I think she looks great as Adora, but I don't really like She-Ra's look too much. Why does she grow when she's She-Ra?
Yeah,
that
I thought that
weirds
was weird.
me out. And I think one of the things that's so weird about it is it seems inconsistent. Mm-hmm. In some scenes, She-Ra looks exactly the same size as everybody else. Mm-hmm. And then in other scenes, she looks like a 12-foot tall character next to all these puny other little people. Yep. And I don't get that.
Does she get bigger as she gets madder?
Yeah, she's like straight hulking out. I mean, they even like make note. There's like 2 or 3 times where they even talk about how when she turns into She-Ra, she's like 8 foot tall or something like that. And I don't know why we needed that. It's weird, so I don't like that. Not like it really doesn't really take me out of it too much. Maybe I just don't like it.
You know, bouncing ahead to ideas that I'm sure it's not, but maybe it's an attempt at fixing the, Adam He-Man.
No, it's not, because here's my next nitpick: the secret identity's gone. Everybody knows that Adora is She-Ra.
Oh, okay.
Everybody knows. And I don't think I like that.
So I am gonna step in and I'm gonna say I do like that.
Okay, and I was hoping that we would have discussion on that.
One of the very first note, the very first thing you can look, the very first thing I wrote down on my note for the old ones is, why would she ever stop being She-Ra? Adora is a known Horde villain. Mm-hmm. Right? Like she was Force Captain Adora. Okay. She's not. So Adora is either nobody or evil.
Right.
She joins the rebels, like she takes on this whole new life. She hides it from the rebels even though like they've clearly accepted that, hey, you were a horde and now you're super cool. Why would she need to hide being the superhero from them?
That's fair.
Point. so like I could not conceive of a reason why she would ever stop being She-Ra anyway. In the new one, there's kind of like almost like there's a limit to her powers, like she needs to shut down and recharge, kind of.
Like it goes away sometimes.
Yes.
Too. Like sometimes in the middle of a battle, she was losing this She-Ra powers.
Yeah. So if she loses focus, gets distracted or whatever, she loses her powers. So like there's a reason why she needs to stop being She-Ra.
Yeah.
But there's also, like why would she hide? Like sometimes I turn into She-Ra and I'm awesome.
Yeah.
Like why would you hide that? You know what I mean? So like. I dug it. I thought they explained it and made it make sense. With He-Man,
it makes more sense. You're right. With He-Man, it makes more sense to have a secret identity.
Yes,
because he's a prince. He's Prince Adam. He needs to protect the royal family. Skeletor shouldn't just be knowing that the prince is
He-Man.
All powerful He-Man. No, you're right.
Right.
Okay.
So with She-Ra, I never understood the reason for that, and that's fine. I'm just
still don't like it.
I'm just.
But it's a valid point.
Yeah,
it's a valid point. Swiftwind's voice is kind of irritating, but that's a weird nitpick.
I have issues with
Swiftwind
in general.
Oh, in general, huh?
Okay. Well, yeah. I did not like that they weirdly made him like the. I gotta free all the animals.
Yeah, what was that about?
I gotta free all the horses.
Oh, free all the horses that are in captivity.
I'll help you guys out, but then we gotta free all the horses.
That was super weird.
I also didn't like that they they came back to that. Like he became Swiftwind and didn't talk, wasn't anything, and then later he shows up and he's like, "Yeah, I talk now," and like, no,
yeah,
sorry.
I think that's part of my problem.
I did love with an incredible passion. 50% of the reason I like this show is because the one time she shot that bolt and turned that lizard into a unicorn.
And turned him into like a little Swiftwind lizard? Yes. That was hilarious.
I laughed so long and hard I had to stop the episode and rewind it.
I hope that thing just comes back at some point.
Oh, it's got to, right?
Yeah.
The show sounds bananas.
It is kind of bananas.
Okay.
All right. I am not entirely sure that I enjoy that they're all basically kids in this show.
Took me a minute to get used to.
Yes. I mean, they talk like kids. They talk like preteens, basically, or young teenagers. And sometimes the dialogue gets a little like, okay, this is obviously made for a younger audience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It makes the base story more awkward.
Yeah.
Of the, the evil.
The rebellion.
Yeah.
Yes,
why are the teenagers fighting the evil horde?
I had just got done telling,
evil Ford
like, we're watching
fighting with teenagers,
Yes, they're all kids. They're all kids. And like straight up, like one of the first scenes we meet Glimmer in the show, like Queen Angela's basically telling her to go to her room. And like they treat them like kids in that show.
Absolutely.
They're all kids.
Yep.
And I remember we're watching this show, and I'm watching it with my wife, and we're kind of talking about it as we go, and I'm doing exactly this. I'm dissecting weird things.
Yep.
And I literally just got done talking about how I think it's weird that they're kids, and I'm still not used to it yet. And then we get to an episode where they go to Princess Prom. And I'm just like, okay, maybe this is it for me. I don't know. Like, I had a rough time with Princess Prom, honestly, at first.
One of my favorite episodes.
Yeah, was it? Okay, go. Okay, that's fine.
You need to calm down.
That's fine. I know. I'm not. I'm really trying to. I'm not trying to.
I get it.
That's show.
That's. I mean, that's a thing. That's it's weird, and if you can't get used to it, that doesn't. I mean, it's just No, I get it.
I mean, when I was a kid, He-Man felt like somebody I looked up to because he was like this superhero.
Yep.
And when you watch this new show, it feels like you're watching they're the same, like the kids like you.
Yeah.
So that's the difference I'm seeing.
Yeah.
And I think that's what.
Well, I mean,
and I'm also like a 36-year-old dude watching this show now. So like,
I was about to say, like, are the kids going to view it that way? Because we're viewing it that way, and we're 40.
Yeah,
maybe the kids still can look at, because a lot of the, I mean, my daughter, we've watched the one episode together. She seemed to enjoy it, but she's 6. Yeah, she can still look up to a 14-year-old.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's true. That's
true. See, I just thought they were trying to grab the Teen Titans.
I think so.
You know what I mean? Like,
and it's just that thing where, like, animation evolves with every generation, and it's always done a little different. So like they have to make it appeal to modern audiences, and that's what it's meant for. Well, like they are the target audience.
They found their demographic, and they're going for that with their choice there, and that, which is not to say they couldn't have done it with adults either. So I was just bummed out as soon as Bo showed up on screen. I almost checked out. And then I figured out they were 14 because I was like, "Where the heck's his mustache?
Where's his mustache?
Where's his sweet mustache?"
I was like, "Where are we going with this, John?"
Great,
yeah,
great.
You know that was my first thought.
I was gonna say everybody listening was thinking the same thing as me. Okay, mustache.
Well, I was gonna say this isn't gonna help them, but I was about to say you just gave me a Magnum PI without a mustache, and now this. I don't like it.
No, I'm with you. Bo needs a mustache. Yeah. Where's his mustache?
But then I figured out, this kid's 14.
I was going to say, he's 14. It'd be one of those dirty, little
I'll take it.
half-grown stashes.
Peach fuzz, the peach fuzz.
Yeah, I want that.
The stash that made all our parents lie to us and say that if you shave it, it'll grow back there.
Yeah. Wait, that's not real?
Oh, my gosh. I enjoyed Bo. I'll tell you who my favorite character was. Seahawk.
I'm so mad about Seahawk.
Why? Okay.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
I don't want to be on this show anymore. I just want to watch.
Okay. So first of all, Seahawk was my absolute favorite character when I was young.
Okay. Yeah. Seahawk's cool. He's like a space pirate guy.
Yeah, I loved Seahawk. Even like he was one of like the extra characters. He was the one that I remembered.
Yeah.
And even when I started watching the original show, I was like, when are the Seahawk episodes? I couldn't remember his name.
Yeah.
But I was like, when are the pirate guy? Where's he at? I thought he was on this all the time. He had like three episodes or something like that. He was one of my favorites. I loved him. I loved his little half laser cutlass thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
And when I went back and watched, he was like one of the more serious, like he was the least cartoony character, like on the show. Like even on the show, the old Filmation episode, he kind of stood out as like, oh, why is this guy a real person?
Okay, I see where you're going with
okay, so
because he's a straight cartoon.
He is a 180 man,
dude. Okay,
like so hold on, okay, because I got to add even more. Like when they introduced Bo, and Bo was kind of like upgraded.
Yeah.
Okay. I got super excited because I was like, oh man, that means when Seahawk shows up, he's gonna be straight gangsta. You know, he's gonna be awesome. And then he showed up and he was he was Errol Flynn by Robert Fleischer. You know, like I was so disappointed. I was so disappointed.
Cracked up every time he wanted to set a boat on fire because that was his move.
That was amazing.
That's his move. He lights boats on fire. And like he kept begging to do it, and Mermista was just like, no, stop. And then at the end, when she finally let him light that boat on fire, like I was right there with him. I was like, yeah, get him, Seahawk. He flew his ship into the horde and lit it on fire, and because that's his move.
Yeah, and I'll give you that. That was awesome.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
Oh, I enjoyed Mermista. I liked her.
Oh man,
she's so deadpan now.
Oh, I hated Mermista. I could not.
What about Entrapta? They did some interesting stuff with Entrapta.
Entrapta was definitely.
Yeah,
I was definitely. Go ahead, John.
I don't remember them all, but I went through the cast list because I was trying to figure out who Bo was because I recognized his voice. He's one of the kids from Blackish. And as I was going through, I saw several other notable people, and Mermista was one of them. And she's the neighbor from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Yeah.
Katra is the girl from the Goldbergs.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So I couldn't stand watching Mermista.
She's the same character as the character from
is she?
Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Awesome.
Drove me insane.
Yep. Awesome.
She was such a millennial.
Yeah.
And, man, like
you should watch Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Oh, we'll see. So there was that. I did like Entrapta.
Yeah, I kind of enjoyed what they did with Entrapta.
Yep.
They kind of did like the whole her defecting thing to the Horde because she's like a tech wizard in this version, and she just really likes technology and stuff. Well, I guess that was one of the other big things that we haven't really talked about yet that they introduced in this is like the planet itself is like basically filled with all this what they call the First Ones tech.
Yeah.
And the First Ones are whoever was on this planet first, and they had all this technology that they imbued the planet with, and that's where like She-Ra's powers are drawing from. Is this first one tech? Are we assuming the first ones are Eternians?
That's what I was just gonna say. They have to be, right? Because the sword is first one's tech. So
yeah. And so Light Hope, they changed to like a female character in the show. Light Hope was like a male voice in the old show.
Yeah.
But one of the things I found interesting is like she's like this digital. She looks like the sorceress, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, like, is that the route we're taking? Is she some sort of like digital, like,
and then if
guide
they do a He-Man,
for the sorceress or something? So, like the Crystal Castle and Light Hope and everything has this very Fortress of Solitude thing going on.
Yeah, for sure.
Where Light Hope is like this recorded guide to like help She-Ra along the way, and the Crystal Castle.
Are they just gonna make He-Man like a prequel?
It's like
a millennia before.
They could.
Yeah.
That could be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, they're doing the thing in this where there has been more than one She-Ra.
Mm-hmm.
She-Ra is like a
Buffy,
like a Buffy. So yes, which they've done in the He-Man storyline more recently. That's kind of like a thing. There's been more than one He-Man. There's like the Power Sword picks a He-Man, a protector,
a representative.
And Adam of Grayskull is just our current He-Man, but he's like, I don't know, he's like the chosen one or whatever. So like they're kind of doing the same thing, it looks like, with She-Ra. So like Adora looks like she might be like the one, but she's just like in this lineage of other she's in this lineage of other She-Ras. Because they talk about how like the last person that was She-Ra apparently like went crazy with the power, and like
that's gonna be Shadow Weaver, right?
Well, no,
Did you get that?
Shadow Weaver was Light Spinner before. They talked about that. She worked alongside Castaspella.
Yeah.
So do you think she was a She-Ra?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Because they did talk about her being Light Spinner before, working with Castaspella, which is a thing straight out of the old show.
Right. And but they kind of they were fuzzy on times for all that stuff.
Oh wow! If Shadow Weaver was a She-Ra,
and that's what
you better watch the show, man.
I was gonna say
there's a character called Castaspella.
yes, there is. There's also one called Natasha. She tosses nets.
Like, do they need this script in before lunch?
Dude, they were toys,
They were on the old,
toys in the old
okay, did they need this script in before lunch 30 years ago?
Fisto! I mean, really?
Okay,
I mean,
that's not
the
as
He-Man
bad as...
names
That's not the same as
He-Man.
Castaspella.
He-Man.
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 That's not the same.
Did they have to turn that in?
I mean,
they turned that in the first thing they thought of.
No,
hey, we need this toy. He-Man.
Yeah. And yeah.
What's he do?
What's he going to be called?
He's a man.
He-Man? In.
But the verb isn't in his name.
Castaspella.
That's what's throwing me.
Natasha. That's
exactly.
I like Natasha too.
Both of those I'd say are the same.
Hey, they make that joke though in the show with her. Because like Natasha's just there the whole time, and they're always like, "That's Natasha." So we don't know who she is. And then like in the last episode, she throws a big giant net, and she's like, "My name's Natasha. I toss nets." Like they make the joke in the show. It's great. It's super great. Yeah.
Well, that was one of my other favorite moments, connected favorite moments.
Yeah.
Kind of personally, when Bo first meets Adora, and she's like, "No, the Horde, they're good."
Oh yeah.
And he's like, "They're called the Evil Horde."
But then she goes, "Who calls us evil?" Yeah.
But
that was
see,
good stuff.
In Secret of the one of the first 3 episodes of the original series, they have He-Man captured, right? And Adora comes to him, and she's like, "No," they're having this discussion, and she's like, "No, the Horde are just and good rulers." And he's like, "Have you ever seen them?" And she's like, "No, I spent my whole life in the Fright Zone." I'm like, if your castle is called the Fright Zone,
the Fright Zone,
man. So like, I was glad they made that joke for me in this one. Yeah.
Totally.
I was very.
Oh, Madame Razz. What do you think about new Madame Razz? There's no broom this time. It's just her broom that she talks to.
Well, I thought Madame Razz was a dumb character.
Yeah.
So,
dearie my.
I didn't love the new Madame Razz, but I was glad there was not much of her.
I kind of think I think they handled her pretty well.
I miss
Cowell as Bo's sidekick. There was a pillow that looked like
There was a pillow that looked like Cal.
But I was like, "Where's Cal?"
I did not miss
I
Cal.
liked Cal as a kid.
Pillow?
In this show,
I gotta watch this show.
Okay,
You gotta watch the show.
on Glimmer's bed, she has a bunch of pillows, and
Yeah.
one of the pillows looks
okay.
like Cal from the
Okay,
original series.
okay.
That was our nod to Cal.
Yeah.
There's
Yep.
no actual Cal in the show.
Which I'm okay with.
I liked Cal in the old show. Well, he was one of the ones I always liked as a kid.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of one of those things where I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, where's Cal? He's like the Orca of the
No,
She-Ra
man,
show.
he's not
Except-
like the Orco.
Well-
he's a prick. Like
I mean,
Cal.
yeah, okay, yes.
Cal only caused problems, except the one time he only caused problems and talked down to people and was a coward, except the one time he rescued He-Man. Okay, like every other time.
All right.
And he would like flip flop. I just watched the show. He would like flip flop. He would be like there was literally one where he was getting Bo in trouble and he was like, they told you not to do this. They told he did this and he did that, and even though you told him not to, and they're like, Bo, I think you need to take a vacation. Why don't you go take a couple days to yourself while we clean up your mess? And he was like, why does Bo get to walk away? I was like, man, come on, man. Like,
wow. Okay.
yeah. So it was like, so
I still miss Cal.
okay, you can miss Cal.
I'm just talking like a blinded
the
fanboy.
minute that pillow showed up and I knew we weren't going to get any more Cal, I was like, boom, yes.
Awesome. Oh man! All right. Did you have anything else that you specifically wanted to mention, or I think we covered a lot. Actually,
We did cover a lot. It's good. Go watch it.
Go
watch it.
I definitely think I'm definitely on that end of the spectrum. I liked it. I have nitpicks. A lot of my nitpicks are based on my fandom and everything with this franchise, but at the end of the day, I'm super happy that this exists. I'm really glad that it's getting such a positive feedback right now. Like, it's getting a lot of attention, and as I always say when I talk about this stuff, about these reboots, when something like this comes out for a new generation and it's getting good reactions and that kids get into it, that is only good for the fandom as a whole, for the property as a whole. That's good. So we want this to succeed. Even if you don't like it as an old She-Ra fan, I think you should be happy if kids like it.
Yep.
That's the way I feel about it.
And if I sat through 3 Adam Sandler movies, then every one of you out there is required. It's your duty to go and watch this show.
Oh man,
I did want to say it had the same kind of feeling to me, not quite as strong, but as the Nickelodeon Ninja Turtles.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was.
I did not get that kind of a feeling from it. I loved the Nick Turtles, the 2012 one, and that one drew me in instantly. I don't feel like this She-Ra show has brought me in quite like that yet.
Not to the same level.
Okay.
For sure, not to the same level. And I also I was such a bigger Ninja Turtles fan than I was a He-Man or She-Ra fan.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So like it's on a different level for me. But I felt like it was old themes like remixed.
Yeah,
remixed and improved and kind of like, you know, like I felt okay. The biggest thing that I always appreciated about the new Ninja Turtles, the biggest thing was that it was amazing.
It's just super good.
the second biggest thing was it felt like it was made by fans.
Yes, it definitely.
Okay,
absolutely.
And I got that same feeling. I felt like She-Ra was made by a fan of like somebody who liked She-Ra made She-Ra.
It definitely. I saw somebody say, like online, like, do you remember the way you remember She-Ra? That's what this show actually is.
Yes. Yep.
And I can totally see that.
Yeah, absolutely.
To a point. Like the things you remember from She-Ra, they're pretty much here.
Yeah.
Like laid out, but like with this new twist and this modern take on it.
Yes.
I think it's fun now that we're in this era where, you know, like what I was saying when we were talking about the old cartoons, like, you know, 5-year-olds don't care about story structure or know anything about it or whatever. Yeah. And the people who made cartoons back then, it wasn't, you know, there was no prestige to the format. You were either making kid stuff or you were selling toys or you were doing both.
Yes.
So they didn't put a lot of thought into putting these shows out. But now we're a generation later, and the people who loved those shows and the people who at 35 remember a better product than they had and are creating new versions of their memories that don't
Yep.
technically exist, but that's what's coming out. And these people do care about story structure.
Yeah.
And they're putting it together
Yes.
and feeding it to kids.
Yep.
You're right.
So now all these kids from a generation ago who didn't know, didn't care, didn't get it, are moving forward and making things for this next generation of kids who I don't know if they're going to get it or care or not, but now they'll have the opportunity to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm really interested to see what happens 30 years from now.
I know, right?
You know what I
It's
mean?
interesting to see
Yeah.
what this next generation
Yeah,
grows up
exactly.
and
So,
does.
but
You're
I
right.
mean, everything's getting better, and that's awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, very cool, very cool. Well, that is going to bring us then to the cap of the episode, the end of the episode, where we turn to you guys, our listeners, and we answer some of your questions.
Yeah, before you get started on the actual questions, I just want to thank everybody for sticking with us as long as we
Yeah,
have, because
absolutely.
we haven't done an episode in 11 months, and we come out and tell people, hey, we're going to tape again. Anybody got any questions? And we get a bevy of really good responses,
Yes.
and that's awesome, guys. So we really appreciate that.
The just putting up the teaser artwork saying that we were going to be coming back, and like the response to that, like just really made my day, honestly. Like it was a giant chain filled with gifts. And
Mostly from people who didn't believe us.
They were, yes. And it was hilarious. The one that made me laugh the hardest was the gif of the old lady from Titanic that said, "It's been 84 years." I like spit my coffee out when I saw it. I was laughing so hard, dude. That was the best. So, but yes, then I put a post up asking for questions, and we got a ton of questions. And unfortunately, we can't answer all of them. So that's one of the things I wanted to throw out now is we are only going to pick a handful of questions on every episode going forward. So if we don't get to you, feel free to ask your question again next time, and we'll try to choose it. But also, a lot of the questions that were asked, I think we covered with a lot of things that we talked about in the show. It's like they knew what we were going to talk about. I think they had a good idea.
And if we ignore your question on multiple occasions and you really just need an answer, you can send them directly to dandardley at hotmail.com.
Dan Dardley. I hope that's a real email address.
Yeah, I probably should have checked before I started saying that over and over again. So Dan Dardley, if you're out there, I'm sorry for the flood of email.
Our bad.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm going to go to Hotmail and check.
Somebody needs to go register
Is
it,
Hotmail
probably.
even still a thing?
I don't know, actually.
Yeah.
Maybe. Probably.
I don't know.
Who knows? All right, our first question of the day comes from listener Wes R. Scott, who says, "Hey guys, I'd really love to hear your thoughts on the announcements of both The Mandalorian and the Rogue One prequel series. With Dave Filoni directing the first episode of The Mandalorian, in my mind, it's a clear indication that Disney is working towards a more homogenous Star Wars universe between its live-action and animated properties. With that being said, what do you guys think of the possibility of Filoni directing a Star Wars live-action feature film?"
Man, you do that really well. It's like Wes R. Scott is sitting right here with us.
I've had some practice, I guess. I've done it a few times. So yeah, we got a couple new Star Wars series coming out. Did you see all that?
Yeah, no,
news
I don't know the
and everything?
details on them. I mean, I've seen a lot of rumor, but I know there's been some actual announcements, or it seems there's been some actual
Right,
announcements, and I have not got the details
So
on those.
the Mandalorian was the one that was announced first, and I think we've even seen some images and everything from that's already being filmed. And then the Rogue One prequel series that they just announced is going to be a series that follows Cassian Andor, which was the character from Rogue One. He was the one that had K2SO with him. And the same actor is reprising the role of the character for this TV series.
Oh, excellent.
Following this character around, which might mean we're going to get more K2SO, which is awesome, because he was a cool droid in that movie. And Dave Filoni, he mentions, is directing the first episode. He was the one that's behind Star Wars The Clone Wars.
Okay.
Which I don't know if you
my
guys
guess,
watched that
but-
series, but I loved that series.
Yeah.
It was really, really well done. And of course, Rebels came out after that, but Rebels basically tied straight into Clone Wars. Like, they've done a really good job with the Star Wars animation, that they've built this whole connecting world
Yeah.
outside of the movies that fits in with what's going on with the
because
movies.
it's official canon.
Everything under Disney is official canon
Yeah.
now. So that's really cool.
But the old that cartoon was the one thing that they brought in outside of the movies
Yes.
when they started,
and it's
right,
coming
that they
back.
kept, yeah.
And it's coming. They announced that they're bringing Clone Wars back, which is really interesting. And that's going to be interesting to see how they do that, because that means we're jumping back in time again,
Right.
back to like that era. But
Clone Wars went on and on.
yeah,
and on.
it's coming back. So, that's really interesting stuff. But I think you're right.
Little known fact that the Emperor kept setting the date back. So, like, the Clone Wars, it only seemed like it went, for a short time, but it actually went for, 50 years.
Oh, man. Yeah, I was going to say, it does seem a lot longer than they ever mentioned in the original trilogy, doesn't it? There was, one throwaway line.
Yeah.
About Obi-Wan serving, serving Leia's father in the Clone Wars, and now we've got this entire... Yeah. So, I don't know. I'm excited for it. I think I'm really interested to see... There's, it feels like we've had so many... of these types of announcement over the years of a possible live-action Star Wars series that's never really come to fruition. Well, and now we're getting two of them for real.
They started talking about it as soon as they bought the property, but at that time, I mean, they never dated it. At that time, it was automatically going to be several years in the future before anything. I mean, I think 3 years was the quickest turnaround you could hope for that. And I think we're not far behind them. I guess we'll be on year 5 coming up that they've owned it.
Okay,
because it took them. I think it took them 2 years to get episode 7 out, and then
next year is 9.
Year from that, yeah.
Right, next year's 9.
So they've owned it for 4, 5, 6 years now, and it's been longer than it could have been. But I think they've had their streaming service in the work for a long time also. Because one of the big questions when they started talking about, well, we can do some Star Wars TV series. Where are you going to put it? I mean, you have a lot of options, but which one are you going to choose?
Yeah.
Well, the second they decide, again, 2 years ago at least, they're going to have their own streaming service, well, that's your obvious landing spot. But now you have to wait till that exists,
Right.
And use it as a selling point there. So it's kind of like we've been waiting a while, but it all makes sense. It's all natural progression how long we've been waiting. It's not like it's just been stagnant. It just hasn't worked yet,
Yeah.
And now, boom, here we are. And the Marvel Universe is in a similar boat there, which actually I think, not to read too far ahead, but we've got a question coming up about some of the Disney stuff. Do you want to go ahead and read that?
Well, yeah, let's just go ahead, because it kind of ties...
it kind of combines
exactly.
Segue.
Yeah. So, Ram Jam asks, it's good. Well, he says, it's good to see the Geek Easy podcast back. Hope you guys are doing well.
Yep.
My question is, what are your thoughts on the Disney streaming service called Disney Plus? Have you seen the teaser trailer for Toy Story 4? Keep up the great work.
You might as well go on to the next one.
Yeah, I didn't.
That's actually the next one's actually the one I was talking about.
Okay, so it's great. All you guys ask these questions that totally tie together. So
they're not the same question. They're just all in the same realm there.
So Sammy Delco's question says, now that it looks like Disney will finally be able to fully integrate all Marvel characters into the MCU, what are your thoughts on the possibility of a full-blown Secret Wars movie based on the original comic limited series? Do you think this would require a complete reboot of the MCU, and is it something that Disney would want to do anyway?
Okay, so let's pause on the Secret Wars part. We'll come back to that in a little bit, but now kind of melding that all into this Disney streaming service. Because this Disney streaming service, I feel like this is going to be so much bigger than I can fathom when it comes to stuff like this. Because when I think Disney streaming service, I think, oh, that's an easy way to watch Toy Story, or whatever.
Yeah.
It'll be on there, and I can, that way I'll have the entire...
I better not hear anybody say anything about the Vault ever again.
The Disney Vault?
I mean, I do believe they'll still be releasing them on the streaming. I don't think you'll be able to watch all of them all the time. I think they'll be releases really or whatnot.
Yeah,
I'm not positive.
I don't even want to watch it either. I don't even want to watch it either.
I mean, the Vault, I don't love it on a personal level, but it's been great marketing for years, so I don't know if they're going to give it up right away or not. But my thoughts were their newer stuff, I should be able to watch every Marvel movie at the touch of a finger from now on, not just the ones that have come out since the Netflix deal.
Right.
Stuff like that. And then they start talking about the original content. I've been a little bit excited because I don't have any of the Disney XD channels or stuff like that.
Right.
But I know they have a DuckTales show.
Yeah.
They've got a Tangled show, that I've wanted to watch with my daughter for a long time. All of that stuff should be available. I'm hoping. I don't know the specifics.
So
Darkwing Duck.
Oh, Darkwing Duck.
And Rescue Rangers.
Rescue Rangers. Dude, if they
want to talk about stuff I will go watch and just blindly like out of nostalgia. Darkwing Duck.
Disney Afternoon stuff.
Yeah.
They put all that on the
if they
service.
if they put the old DuckTales on, I'll be happier than if they put the new DuckTales on. But when they start talking about the original content, and then you go and look at the Marvel stuff right away, and I have heard I've sort of checked out on some of that news because you're in this phase right now where real announcements are coming.
Yeah.
And there's the storm before the calm of all these rumors and everybody talking about everything, and after a while it gives me a little bit of a headache.
Right.
So I've sort of checked out on the news, and that's why I missed like the actual announcements for some of the Star Wars stuff, because I still haven't turned the corner to realize that some of this news is real now. But they've been talking about the Marvel franchises for a while too. They've canceled 2 of the Netflix ones already. And nobody's 100% sure if they're canceled forever or if they're transitioning. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so, maybe we'll just never see Luke Cage or Iron Fist again, or maybe all of those shows will be canceled and they'll be on the Disney service within a year and a half here,
One of those I'd be real happy about.
Me too.
But then I'm immediately hearing about, they're like theoretically they're talking about doing a buddy cop TV show with Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I have no idea if there's any legitimacy to that. There probably isn't, because who knows what's happening with those guys in the movies anytime soon.
Right.
And
they both don't exist anymore.
Well, sure.
Too soon. Too soon, bro.
But like with stuff like that, are you going to be able to pull these name actors over to your TV streaming service? Probably in today's landscape, but I don't know what that looks like, because you're already talking about the Rogue One guy. It's not like he's a huge star. It's not like Anthony Mackie or Sebastian Stan are huge stars. But
right.
I mean, these are working Hollywood guys. They're doing a lot of projects. TV shows take time and commitment.
Yeah.
It's probably more so than the movies, because the movies, you're committed to 8 movies, so every couple of years you're going to be filming for a few weeks, but you also have smaller parts on a lot of these things because a lot of them are ensembles. You're doing a TV show that's just you. How many other projects are you saying no to? Like, are you working just to be Winter Soldier for your entire career? I would love that.
Yeah.
I don't know if every actor would. You know what I mean? So it's just the landscape's changing again, though. So that service could end up being an easy way to watch Cinderella over and over again. And not much more. It could be an easy access to the old, Saturday morning and weekday afternoon cartoons. Or that service could be just a humongous expansion of everything they're doing.
So, we were just talking about all the Netflix stuff earlier and, like, what they're doing. Do you think this is something that, do they need to be worried about Disney doing this? Is this going to be huge
for sure
competition?
Yeah, absolutely.
No.
Now,
Disney is, even if they put all the Marvel stuff on there, Disney is always going to have that stink of bean kid stuff.
Well,
and Netflix is always going to be House of Cards. You know, like, I mean, adult stuff, edgy stuff. Well, they can be. They'll have that market. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, even if Disney puts out, like, oh, Disney, you know, I don't know, if they did a House of Cards, if they did something dark, I'm saying,
Yeah.
you know, if they did something dark, they're still kid stuff.
Yeah. And they won't go too dark,
Right.
very often. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
there will, but they do own. I mean, Disney owns a lot of different companies, and some of them are edgier stuff,
Right.
and you just don't necessarily associate them with Disney because it's the name.
Well,
behind the
exactly.
name.
You don't associate them with Disney.
Yeah, and are any of those going to be available on the service? You know,
Right.
Is there going to be
Even if it is, I don't think it would take away from Netflix.
Yeah, probably not.
Because the 50-year-old man and people our age that aren't into kid stuff, they're good with Netflix.
Yeah,
and they're gonna keep their Netflix.
And
they don't need to watch Cinderella. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I think there's always going to be a demographic of the edgier, more adult that don't care about the kids stuff that are always going to lean Netflix. There's going to be the kid-friendly, family-friendly people who do have small children around are always going to lean Disney. I think more often than not, most real pop culture connoisseurs, for lack of a better term, are going to have both.
Right? Exactly.
That's the thing. But there will be that most of the competition, I think, is going to be for the younger parents with young kids.
Right.
Because those are the people who are going, well, I want my kid to be able to watch this, but I want to be able to watch this. And Netflix, you can do both. but a lot of their cartoon properties are a lower quality than a lot of the Disney properties.
Yeah.
And so those are the people who are going to, you know, if they're only choosing one because they don't want to spend $25 a month when they could just spend $12, they're the ones who are going to actually have a decision to make between the two, you know.
See, I don't think that the streaming services are in danger of competing with each other for a long time. I think when Disney has a streaming service like cable, I think cable is in trouble. You know what I mean? I think cable's the one going, nah, no, Disney, please. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for sure.
You know.
Yep.
So Netflix. I mean, Hulu came and is around, and Netflix continues to grow.
Yes.
You know, how many other the WWE Network you know,
I would think like your Hulu's, your CBS All Access, which God, they can't be making money anyway, can it?
They keep making stuff for it. There's there's a new Picard series coming to
I was gonna say, like, because I watch a couple of CBS shows, so you see the commercial for these, and every time I see a commercial for one, I go, that looks pretty good. It's an all access show. I get mad at myself. And CBS. Like, I'm not paying to watch your CBS shows.
Yeah.
I can watch so many of those for free, and they're all kind of the same. But like the smaller streaming services they might lose some subscribers because there's not a lot of people who are gonna, you know, a lot of people won't hesitate to subscribe to 2. Not a lot of people are gonna subscribe to 6.
Well, but I think those those are gonna come back around. I think eventually because right now people are paying for internet, cable, 2 or 3 streaming services at least, right? And theoretically. Okay, and I think we're going to see, like, people eventually are going to be like, you know, I want these other streaming services. I don't want to get rid of my 3. And, you know, so if anything, I think those streaming services are going to take a bump because if they can drop and be like, you know, $10 or $6 and somebody can drop their cable and then go, well, I want Netflix and Disney and Hulu and CBS All Access and whatever else. You know, they're paying the same. They're paying less because now they've dropped their cable, so now all they have is internet and these 5 or 6 streaming services. I think that's the way it's going.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's where I've already been for years. That's where I'm at
now.
I got
a while ago.
Yeah.
But that's why I don't think, if anything, those streaming. I think we're going to see more streaming services. I think they're going to be cheaper. You know, and people are going to pick and choose, and you know.
Well, the other
sports fans are, you know,
with most of them, it would be relatively easy to decide month to month. Like this month, I'm going to catch up on, you know, House of Cards and Orange Is the New Black, so I'll pop $12 towards Netflix.
Yeah.
Next month, I really want to watch that Star Trek show, and all the episodes are actually out, so I'm going to cancel that one, and I'm going to
so you're canceling and sign up.
Well, but most people aren't going to take the time. Like,
right.
I'm not even. I'm very conscious of where I put every dollar I have, and I'm not even taking the time to do that stuff. You know what I mean? Because I just want to be able to watch the stuff I like whenever I feel like that night.
Yeah. Well, then there's going to be we're going to have to go back and have rentals again, right? Where you can go to Amazon and rent the Picard show for a month for $10.
Yeah.
You know
what? I would.
Which
do
you
that.
actually already can. I think you can purchase like those individual series and stuff like that. I don't know if you can rent them or not.
Well, I'm saying, you know, I don't know, like to purchase, you know, because what are they, $25, $30 to purchase or more? You know, to purchase. Yeah. That's different than like.
Well, as I was saying,
six to 10 to rent for a month.
I don't know if renting them is an option or not.
Well, yeah,
that would be awesome.
Yeah. I'm predicting the future, John.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I think I would be into that.
The future is now, or might not be. I don't know. But you know, point being though, like I don't think it's going to be so much of a competition as in like they're going to be tearing clients from each other or subscribers from each other, but I think it will breed a competition as far as content goes.
Yeah.
I think the more big names that hit, the better all this stuff gets.
Yeah.
Because even if their subscriber base isn't plummeting because the new one exists, it will be affected.
Mm-hmm. And
even if it isn't affected massively right at the beginning, they'll all want to poise themselves, one, to make sure that they don't get blindsided by anything, and two, because not only do they want the most money, they also want to be the best. You know, like Netflix doesn't want an Oscar because it's going to make them a bunch of money, because Oscars don't really make you very much money.
Right.
You know, I mean, That's not, that's
Yeah,
not,
no.
the Oscars don't go to the box office winners,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yep.
But they want that prestige.
Yes.
And they don't want anybody coming out there. They don't want all the news cycles being like, you remember when Netflix was on top, but now Disney's here? They want everyone to know that they were the first and they'll always be the best,
Yep.
and so they're going to keep making better and better stuff.
Right.
And so I think it's going to be good all around as that goes.
Okay.
But it's going to be hard to compete with a lot of this stuff. If they really do bring this in and fully integrate their television shows into their movie universes the way that the movies have melded together, and those movie universes happen to be Star Wars and the Marvel Universe, that's going to be tough to run against for a while, from a popularity standpoint.
Yeah,
you might still get your Oscar before Disney does, but,
Disney got that money.
Yeah.
Toy Story 4.
Man, it blew my mind.
Yeah.
I was waiting when we kind of skipped. I was like, "Oh no, we got to talk about." I watched the trailer for Toy Story 4. I almost changed my thing, but I don't have like that much to talk about it. Like my topic, like I don't have a whole lot. But so in the trailer, they're doing the part and they're all going around in the circle, and then they come to the spork.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't
belong here. Yeah.
Blew my mind wide open. Number one, okay, so like, I was super poor growing up, and I made a lot of toys. Now, I never made action figures with sporks, but we could never afford, we could afford a $2 action figure.
Right.
We could never afford a $10 or $20 vehicle or playset or anything like that. So I built.
Yeah.
I had shoebox Castle Grayskulls, and I had, milk carton spaceships, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So to see a toy. So thinking about the rules of the Toy Story universe, all the toys are alive, right?
Yeah.
To see something taken that was not a toy and made into a toy. And comes to life,
freaking out,
blew my mind wide open. I was like I saw that
because all the utensils are not alive,
right? Right, So like the instant they did that, I was just like, oh my goodness, is this? And I don't like. I want to now. I have to go see it. I did not like when I heard they were making Toy Story 4. I was like, okay, whatever, cool. We've done this. I've been here, done that. Cool. But like then I saw that and I was like, oh, so I have to see this now because I have to know what happens to that spork. Yeah, I'm immediately emotionally invested
in the spork.
In the sporks.
What's his arc?
What is his existential crisis?
Oh my god,
why is he here?
Yeah, but why is the spork here?
I also wanted to talk about the other thing because I saw some stuff. So like in the beginning of one of them, or is all of them? I don't know. In the beginning of one, there's like the two little stuffed animals.
Yeah,
and they're black, or they're kind of coded black. They kind of talk black.
I think it's
kind of act black.
Is it Key and Peele? I think it's.
Is it Key and Peele?
I think so.
I have no idea who it is.
Yeah.
I saw the reason I went and looked for it. Actually, the reason I saw the trailer at all was because I saw like a headline that popped up, that was like, Toy Story bears as bad as the two black Transformers, the twins in the Transformers. And I was like, that's impossible. And I clicked on it, and it's totally not. Like they're just being black guys.
Yeah.
Like you can't, and I just wanted to say real quick, like you can't just call something racist because they're black guys. Black guys don't have to act like white guys. It's right. It's okay to act. It's okay to write a black guy acting like a black guy.
Yeah.
Without it being, and it's so different. Like you can't even compare. When the twins is all like, "What up, dog?" Like that's so no. Okay. That is racist. Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, so like I needed to say that like it's okay for it's okay to code something black and let a black character be black.
Right.
In my opinion.
Awesome.
I just needed.
No, that's good.
We don't like to get political on this.
I'm not trying to get, and I'm not going to become the political one, but just because it fed in. We'll talk about the spork some more. I just blow my mind. The spork. What color is the spork? The spork's white. I don't know.
My favorite.
Your favorite what?
John's favorite color.
But by what?
What? Sorry, go ahead.
My favorite part about this trailer existing was earlier today. Actually, I walked into somebody's house and they had a box set of Toy Story 1, 2, and 3 sitting on the floor, and I just got to go, hey, is whoever bought that mad that they have to buy it again?
Gotta buy a new box set. Otherwise, it's not complete. All right. Well, I think that's gonna wrap up the fan question.
We did really the Secret Wars thing.
Oh, the Secret Wars
and I don't have a lot to add. I just didn't want to ignore that part of the question there. I don't think it would require a complete reboot at all, which was part of the question. You know, since it's all being flushed out, will we be able to see something like that, and would it require a reboot? I don't see why it would, because it's the same. I mean, you know, Infinity War was Infinity War, but it wasn't the same as Infinity War. It was just inspired by Infinity War.
I think
if they were going to do a Secret Wars, they could do the exact same thing.
I think they think it would require a reboot, because then you're bringing in the X-Men, which means you have to explain where mutants have been, and they have not talked about or had mutants in the MCU.
Well, but
so would we have to? That's what I assume.
Yeah.
Would you have to reboot it to explain? Oh, now there's X-Men. I don't think that. I don't think that. I think that's where that question
also,
comes
we can get Spidey the Black costume there.
Well, no, because they don't have Venom.
They don't have.
Well,
surely they can do Black Spider-Man. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't even want to. I don't even want to question those.
I would say though, still like I get that thought process, but even then, like with Civil War, like there was a whole bunch of parts of the Civil War comic that were completely absent from the movie, because the movie just went, this story was cool, how does it fit into our narrative?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Infinity War went, that story's cool, how do we fit it into what we're doing? So if they wanted to do a Secret Wars, they fit it in. I don't have the storyline in mind. But if they were to do something like that in the near future, it would be they could figure out a way to make that a good way to
bring the X-Men in.
Yeah, exactly.
To this MCU?
Without completely having to reboot or anything like that. But I don't think, with everything they've built and everything they have going forward, I don't think they have reboot on the mind. Nor do I think they should. Just keep expanding, because they've got years worth of stuff planned out. They got years worth of stuff built up. Yeah. I don't think anybody in this day and age, audience-wise, like as a large number, wants to see a brand new Tony Stark origin movie anytime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they don't want to be reintroduced to these characters. They just want to see what happens next at this point. So.
Yeah, I think we'd be a long way off from a Secret Wars movie, because that's just like, I mean, that's what Infinity War was.
Yeah, I mean, it would.
You know, like.
Not the same story, but covers the same bases.
Right. You know, the cool thing about Secret War, like nobody's itching to see the Beyonder show up. You know what I mean? Like, the cool thing about the Infinity Wars was always that, oh, this is when everybody gets together and there's 15 characters in this one comic book. Oh my gosh, can you believe it? And Spider-Man and some of the Fantastic Four and Hulk and Wolverine, and we just had that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, we just had that.
Yeah, totally.
So
also, Secret Wars was totally made to sell toys, FYI.
Yeah. But again, a lot of things were.
A lot of things
you
were.
know, like there's another quick backtrack. That was another one of the. I think it's a complete rumor, but they've been talking about Tom Hiddleston in a Loki TV show.
Yeah, I saw
for that service, and that was the big name I was thinking of. Which again, this is not Tom Cruise. It's Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah,
but still.
That's a pretty big name.
That would be that would be a big catch. However, like what I mean, would that be a prequel? Would that be a?
I don't know.
Does No Death Matter ever?
I mean, he's Loki, dude.
I know, but I don't know how many times. I don't know. I'm not saying I wouldn't watch it. I'm just saying, like, when I start seeing stuff like that hitting every day, and I go, okay, Disney's not saying any of this. I can't keep track of it anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I just need to. I'm gonna check out for a few days until real stuff starts coming in.
Right.
So
awesome. All right, guys. Well, we have a Facebook page. Just look up Geek Easy Podcast on Facebook, and that is where you can ask your questions to be answered here on the show. Every week before we record a new episode, I'll always put up a post asking for questions. So place them there, and we'll pick a couple of them to answer here on the show. As you can see, they do tend to bring up discussion. So it adds to the show, and we always really appreciate hearing from you guys on stuff like that. And I think with that being said, it's going to wrap up our return episode of the Geek Easy Podcast.
Since we haven't been around in 11 months, we decided to go way too long tonight.
No, that's okay though. We had a lot of good discussion.
But we had a lot of good things to talk about. So.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show, and we'll be back for a new episode. Again, very special welcome to Jaren. I'm glad you're here.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
I hope you enjoyed.
Thanks for having me, fans.
Awesome.
Tell them to subscribe.
Oh yeah.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Boom. Yes, you guys, please, anywhere that you listen to us or enjoy the show, whether that's on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you're following us on iTunes, follow us. Leave us a rating. Ratings are always good on iTunes. I know that helps get the podcast out there.
Helps the algorithm.
Yes, helps the algorithm. So
and be honest if you love us.
Yeah, be honest if you love us.
Be honest if you don't like us.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I don't.
Everybody who's mad that I didn't like the old Filmation, comment and I'll respond.
We're
respond.
Probably gonna hear some of that. I'm sure. No,
Yeah.
it's fine. No. I think we were
You can
very
tweet
reasonable.
me. You can email me.
You can give us 5 stars of hatred.
5 stars.
5 stars of
5 stars of hatred.
It looks the same as giving us 5 stars that you liked us, but
it means
they
something
know.
else.
But
Yeah,
they know.
That's right.
They know.
All right, guys. That is going to wrap up episode 55 of the Geek Easy podcast. So until next time.
See you in 2019.
No. We'll be back in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Until next time, guys.
The Geek Easy podcast is a production of PixelDan.com. Musical tracks used in the intro and outro are used with full permission of the respective owners or creators. Intro and outro narrations are provided by me, Brian T. Stevenson. PixelDan.com's The Geek Easy podcast is provided for entertainment purposes only. The views expressed are those solely of the hosts or guests and do not necessarily represent those of PixelDan.com or any other party. Be sure to join us next time for another installment of the Geek Easy podcast.